Live from the Toad Hop Network studios.
In Hollywood,
This
is the ToadHopNetwork.com.
It is strongly addictive.
Radio worth watching.
Radio worth watching.
All right, there we go. Thank you, Johnny Ice. Hey, it's the Schmoes Know podcast. It's me, Christian Harloff, and Mark Ellis. Where's he? Nowhere to be found. He's out in Houston, the Houston Improv, telling jokes, and we're going to have a really, really fantastic show. Mark is jealous, and as he should be. A lot of reasons to be jealous. We have Sean Astin coming in about 10, 15 minutes. He's going to be going over. I know. Try to keep it in. Yep. Try to keep it in. We have a really big show today talking about all the Oscar nominations and talking about our opinions on what we think. And Sean Astin is actually a voting member on the Academy.
Oh, he's got power.
Yes, yeah.
He's got that much cooler.
So
he has power.
He has power. So we're going to find out, the process and why Ben Affleck got screwed and all that stuff. And now joining me to my left is our lovely co-host, week in, week out, Tiffany Smith.
Hey, guys. What is up?
Oh, look how laid back you are right now. You're so full of crap. All day. Sean Astin's coming in. Sean Astin's coming in.
No, here's the thing.
Yeah.
He's like, don't pretend like you're not excited. I'm like, I'm not pretending that I'm not excited. I'm really excited.
But you're just
I'm just not that girl who's like, ah! Oh, my gosh. And I totally did bring my Hobbit shirt, but I was like, I'm not... Can you sign my boobs? Like, I'm not that girl either.
You think he's going to care if you did that?
I would.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
You're going to leave this show tonight saying, oh, my God, he should have signed my boobs.
I brought the shirt. He can sign the shirt.
All right.
For girls everywhere. That's not okay.
That's happening here. Well, now, joining us we needed someone to replace Ellis tonight. We needed someone who could...
is that what I am?
Yes.
Damn.
Someone to replace...
Yeah.
And that's a big... Are you kidding me? The last time you were in here, you kicked ass and you crushed it. The fans love you. We have the star
I'm
of...
a second string? That's
second string.
bullshit.
You're my partner in crime tonight.
It's a big seat to fill.
Yes, and there is a big show on CBS called Golden Boy. You saw it all over the Super Bowl, the ads. And here is one of the stars of that show, our buddy, Bonnie Somerville.
Yeah. So happy to be back. Wow, those kids should go to bed. It's late.
I know,
Past
it's
their
true.
bedtime.
Bonnie, a lot has changed in Schmoeville since the last time you were here.
Yes.
I mean, we've got Johnny Ice on the mic.
Yes. Ice, Johnny.
So we got Ken Knapsack, our producer. It's a well-oiled machine, and I promise I won't talk about whether or not things slipped in this time around. I promise.
No.
I won't do that.
Don't do that.
All right.
I want to know.
I just drove by CBS. There's a big billboard outside. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Golden Boy premieres February 26th at 10 p.m. Everybody watch it.
Well, listen, before we get into the Oscars, though, tell me a little about. So, what's your character on the show? What do you do? Tell Schmoeville a little bit about the show.
Well, the show's basically about the youngest detective in New York history to make police commissioner. He's younger than FDR was, and it's told in flashbacks. It's basically his story of how he got there. And I'm the only female detective in the 39th precinct, and it's me and 5 other guys, and basically it's his journey of how he got to where he got. So it's a character-driven detective show more than a procedural show.
Yeah, and I've seen it. And Bonnie, Bonnie's from Brooklyn. She's a Brooklyn girl.
Yeah,
so
I get to play myself.
Brooklyn,
Irish Catholic.
And the accent is blazing. It's great, and it's a lot of fun. Mark and I really enjoyed it when we watched it. So Schmoeville should check that out.
Check it out, guys.
Yeah.
So one badass chick and 5 dudes. It's kind of
seriously,
like
it's my dream.
Yeah.
It's my dream. Yeah, it's also my dream job. I work with 5 guys every day, and I get to kick ass and do my own stunts and
And
talk
I'm sure
talk
they're
like
all good-looking,
I
too.
normally talk. So
That's
it's really easy for me.
It's good to have you back in
Thank
Schmoeville.
you. I love it. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah. Okay. So, a lot of stuff going on, as we said before. Now, tell Schmoeville, as always, make sure that you tweet us at SchmoesKnow. And then we're doing the thing on Facebook every week, Facebook.com/SchmoesKnow. The conversation should be going on there all night. We're gonna give away 2 Ripped Apparel shirts tonight, which is a big thing. If you see, I've got my Batman Ripped Apparel
Yeah,
Game of
seriously,
Thrones.
I walked in, I was like, what? It's the coolest whatever.
Yeah.
Why didn't you send that one to
No
me?
way. This is for me and me only. But we're going to be giving
Stupid.
away some shirts today. And one of the ways is we're doing a Photoshop contest. And Bonnie, myself, Tiffany, and
Those
Sean.
are amazing. By the way,
Did you see the one? Did you see the Les
amaze
Mis
balls.
one?
No, I haven't seen that one, but
Oh,
I
so
want.
good.
Can people do that to me every single day? I want that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Just please spell my name right in one of them. Just one of them. Somebody spell it with one M. Thank you.
That's the thing is I think the people who spelled your name wrong might not get your vote.
Oh, damn.
They might not get your vote.
My favorite is the, what was the last one?
The Breakfast
The
Club?
Breakfast Club,
That was a good
which
one.
is, by the way, one of my top 10 movies. So
The Breakfast
Thank
Club
you.
one was good. I don't know what the drama was about the Goonies
The
one.
Goonies
that,
one
like,
was
someone was like, "Are you a man?" I was like,
no,
what
it
is
happened.
happening?
No, we'll talk about all this because we're going to show them during the break. But before, listen, we're going to have Sean in a little bit. So before we do that, we do a weekly segment week in, week out with the news with Ken Knapsack, and we cannot wait. There's some big stories in the news. Ken, are you ready to rock?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Johnny Ice.
I'm Ken Knapsack, and these are your Schmoes Know headlines. Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. If they should bar wars, please let these Star Wars stay. Once again, Star Wars trumped all other movie news this week with word that the much talked about, speculated about, and dreamed about Star Wars standalone spin-offs are more than possible and will focus on a young Han Solo, a galaxy gallivanting Boba Fett, and maybe, just maybe, a spry, caneless Yoda. The first two more likely, with Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Iger indicating, not confirming, indicating that Simon Kinberg and Lawrence Kasdan have been developing those projects, as well as helping Michael Arndt develop and write Episode 7. Interesting to note, these two, particularly the Boba Fett project, could be placed within the time frame of the original trilogy, making it possible for old favorites like Darth Vader or Jabba the Hutt to make appearances, and of course, bounty hunters IG-88 and 4-LOM. Director Joe Johnston, who, by the way, originally designed the Boba Fett armor, told Screen Rant about 1 year ago that he had been pushing George Lucas to make a Fett-based feature and that he would like to direct it. Let the speculation begin. Meanwhile, I'll be pitching my own reality show idea, Pawn Stars, Watu's Tattooing Garage. There was other news this week. Emily,
he had to take a beat after that.
Catching
He's
my
very
breath.
happy with that.
No, I wasn't.
Right.
There was other news this week. Emily Van Camp, star of ABC's Revenge, has been added to the cast of the upcoming Captain America Winter Soldier project. She'll be playing Sharon Carter, the love interest of Captain America himself, Steve Rogers.
Damn her. Damn her.
She reportedly beat out Felicity Jones, Anna Kendrick, and Allison Brie for the role.
And Bonnie Somerville.
I need to get my show on the air because I want that part.
Yeah, it's a good one.
The producers
Chris
gathered
Evans.
all the women in a room, put a broken pool stick on the floor, and said, "Time to man up, girls." The movie hits theaters in 2014. More comic book news. Marvel's The Guardians of the Galaxy project has its de facto lead. The role of Star-Lord, a.k.a. Peter Quill, will be played by Moneyball and Zero Dark 30 actor Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Last week, the rumors had Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler perhaps joining the cast of this less popular superhero team. And a line of comics, the Guardians of the Galaxy are a team tasked with protecting the solar system from an evil alien race and are from a dimension in the future. Yet they are best known for being pals with Iron Man and the Avengers. No, like seriously, they've hung out. Iron Man follows them on Twitter. It's legit. News from this dimension, long rumored, but now confirmed. Kristen Wiig has joined the cast of the hotly anticipated Anchorman sequel, the film. And most of the original cast will be in theaters in December. Wiig, of course, got her start at the Groundlings before making a mark on SNL, getting nominated for an Oscar for co-writing Bridesmaids, while one of her former Groundlings teammates went on to be the unpaid newsreader for the Schmoes Know podcast. I'm Ken Knapsack, and those were your Schmoes Know headlines.
Hey! All right, Kenny, kicking ass.
I'm
as
really
always.
excited about the Guardians of the Universe thing.
I am too.
Me too.
I feel like he's been the kind of like guy in the background for so long
Yeah.
that I'm psyched. That
I'm
he's
so
getting
happy
a
for
lead.
him.
He's so great because the thing is too, besides just being the guy in the background, you see he's got like a Ryan Reynolds thing to where you see him right away and you just think he's going to do the funny best friend thing, but he's got more than that.
Yeah, but he really changed a lot.
Totally, like
in Zero Dark. I mean,
and
he
Moneyball.
he worked it.
Yeah.
He worked
Yeah.
out. He totally transformed himself from like the chubby kind of every guy.
100%. I think that he would be great. in
Note
this
to
movie.
self. Okay, that's what I need to do. Work out more.
Well,
Wait, you don't want to be the chubby guy anymore?
No, I don't want to be the chubby guy anymore.
Well, they did. The casting was, I think, is a great job. I think what he's going to do, what again Ryan Reynolds did not do for Green Lantern.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to. There's just more to that guy.
I just have to say though, it
Wasn't
wasn't
Ryan's
just
fault.
Ryan Reynolds' fault.
That movie was
No.
just
It
horrible.
was like
That-
everyone involved in that project.
I know.
And
but
now he's
the-
married to his
Crash and
co-star.
burned.
How weird is that?
Who, Ryan Reynolds?
At least
Oh,
he got
yeah,
something
Blake
good out of that
Lively, right.
movie.
Yeah, I know.
mean, she's
I know.
pretty
It's
freaking
true.
hot.
But anyway, so that's that one. Well, let's talk about the Star Wars stuff quick before we go. This podcast has been,
All Star Wars.
Star
It's
Wars.
Star
all the
Wars centric.
time.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not a Star Wars podcast at this point. I don't know how much of a Star Wars fan you were back in the day. and what's going-
I'm a very big original Star Wars
Okay,
franchise
and-
fan. I'm not a fan of the remakes in
no,
any
you
way,
mean
shape.
the prequels.
Prequels
Yeah, the
at all.
You can stay.
I am a hater in
Yeah,
every.
okay.
I had Star Wars sheets and
Right.
lunchboxes. I was obsessed.
Right.
Hate the prequels.
We actually saw Star Trek together.
Yeah.
And remember that.
Loved
and
it.
you loved it.
Loved it.
So that was J.J. Abrams now has that serious tone. And he's got this.
So excited.
Okay, so
I fell in love with Chris Pine. I thought he's amazing.
Okay, so
amazing.
now he has the fact that JJ is directing the new
So
one.
happy.
Now all this different stuff is coming, all these stories, and you just mentioned the Yoda story. We don't
Yeah.
know if it's going to be young Yoda as a warrior. It could be
don't, really, we
him
don't.
going to Dagobah. Who the hell knows? But I want to see something.
What is young Yoda going to look like? Like a little,
I mean,
like a
but young
mouse.
Yoda's 300.
Like a mouse. Is he going to be the size of a
Same,
mouse?
just with,
I don't think
like
he's gonna be
less.
6
I mean, with
days
a little
old.
more
He's
hair.
like wielding a sword, and he's like. He's so tiny.
He's gonna probably be like 300 years old, and I want to see the stuff.
300.
Probably he was 800 when he died.
Right.
Yeah. So we are nerds here. But
I forgot it's been a while.
Yeah, it's true. And then you also have this news about the Han Solo thing.
Confirmed, not confirmed.
You're not happy about this.
I'm not. I don't know.
Right.
He's
it's
one of my
casting.
favorite characters of all time. It's cast contingent.
It's casting and directing. It's 100%. You have you get Tom Hardy or Fassbender. You got something about a Han Solo. What's wrong? I don't know. We'll just say it. Jasper Kruger drinking
Just
our
being a
drinking our
creeper.
beer. Drinking our
Welcome
beer.
back.
Our sponsor. Are we Imperial right now?
It could be a even younger Han Solo, a preteen Han Solo. We don't
This
know.
is okay.
know,
So this is what
but-
I started thinking too
Yeah.
when all these like standalone movies came out, because it is Disney. Like, do you think that any of them are going to be super childish? Like even with Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, where
Yeah.
it's like The Hobbit, it was written a little bit more kiddie, I think. So I'm wondering if Disney's going to be like, okay, we can like have a little more kid fun with these standalones.
Right.
I hope
I
not.
don't think so.
Or they could go
Really?
the other way and
No,
be darker.
See, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think
don't
that
think JJ's going to do that.
Well,
Well,
but
but
JJ's not doing these standalone.
Oh, he's
movies.
not?
No,
Oh.
but I still don't think it's going to happen because you don't know when these standalone movies are going to come out. And if you have this tone of 7, 8, 9, which are going to be like this darker thing, you don't want to screw around. You don't want to say, okay, because the fans right now have that shit taste from the prequels in their mouth. And, and no, thank you. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't want that kind of
But
tone.
they want kids.
They don't need it though. You don't. Disney's smart with Marvel and everything. They're going to do the same way they did with the Avengers and Marvel. They set up. They set up all the characters. They set everything up, and that way you can intertwine it. And just think about a Han Solo movie when he's like, in his 20s or whatever. Darth Vader is running around at that point.
Yeah.
So you can see Darth Vader, and that would be so cool to tie that in the same way that they tied in, the other movies. But look, it's 8:15. We got.
Wait, hold on.
What's wrong?
Guga's standing over there going,
What?
and I'm like, what? And he's like, circles his face, Han Solo. Like,
Oh, you
he's
want to play Han
going to
Solo?
play him.
Yeah.
If Han Solo got drunk in the cantina and never left.
And that is the kiddie version that
Yeah.
Disney will go
Yeah.
with. Right there.
Oh, guys, we are
let's bring him in now.
blessed right now. Our guest has arrived. Mr. Sean Astin is in the house. Sean, how are you?
Other guest. What am I?
You are our
Shop
awesome. No,
liver?
you're our
You're
awesome
the co-host. Yeah.
I wasn't in the greatest franchise of all time. Sorry, excuse me. But I'm so happy to meet you.
Might have been at one time. But I think
Do we? Yeah. So, okay. You want to have him where he's going? So, Sean Astin is in the house. We were very excited to have Sean.
Woo!
We're going to be talking now. We're got to go into our Oscar talk now. We're going to have a bunch of things that we can talk about. And I spoke to Sean earlier this week, and what I found I didn't actually know is that Sean is an active voter in the Academy, which is really
Classy.
cool. Yeah, and I want
He's classing up the joint.
He's
I got
definitely-
something to show you.
They're not going to let
my
you be
gosh.
on the Academy.
Oh
You
my
think they let
gosh.
you be on the Academy with that shirt?
He
Come on.
classed up the joint the second he walked
That
in.
shirt
this
is
place.
awesome.
Seriously.
I got like schmutz on the shirt, but okay. So I brought something for you to see.
Uh-oh.
This is my actual ballot.
I love it.
Yeah, here it is.
That's
Let me hold
awesome.
it up. They've got these new perforations. So
Wait, can I take a picture of that in front of the Imperial beer? Because and then tweet
You
that?
want to turn it
'Cause
this way?
Seriously, this is
Yeah.
look at this.
I just got asked,
Look
do
how
I want a
cla-
beer? Of course
look
I
how
do.
classy
Open that
this
up.
is.
There it is.
There it is. Oscar ballot and beer.
Hi.
Look at that. See?
We are
Fancy.
so classy.
Why
I'm
do I
about to
feel it?
spill my beer right on it.
Sean, keep your eye on that guy in the background in the gray shirt. He might rip you off and try to steal those with an Imperial beer at the end of the night. So,
Like a trade?
That's the
Or is
guy
he going to
look
like
at.
try and actually
No,
Why do we pick
vote in the
Imperial
Supreme
beer? I'm
Court.
just
we
curious.
don't know who he is. He just showed up. Okay,
He's the Phantom.
Yeah, he's the Phantom. All right, Sean. Again, thank you for joining us back in Schmoville. Happy to have you.
good to be back.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into some of these categories because we've talked about the Oscars. We've talked about what's been nominated, and as an Academy voter, and so who gets nominated. I have a question for you, Sean.
Shoot.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Why did he get screwed? Why is he winning everything?
That's
Yeah.
a phenomenon that just happens. I mean, there's a million different reasons for it. The conspiracy theorists would, think that Harvey Weinstein sits back in a room and like doles out who gets nominated for what, and But I think, Spielberg didn't get nominated. This is not a new phenomenon that directors somehow. I don't know. I don't know why. I can't.
But don't you think this year? I mean, I agree with you. That, I mean, every year someone gets screwed. Like the year Nolan got screwed.
This year, you'd think everyone knows that Affleck's going to get nominated.
Right.
So
and
they'd rather have
Catherine Bigelow.
And Catherine
Bigelow too.
Yeah.
Another one.
That's
So
the
you
biggest
just
one for me.
assume they're definitely going to get nominated. I want to use my vote to. And the way it works, I'm not sure if you talked about it, but
No, we haven't.
there are branches, right? The acting branch, and there's and each branch sends in your list of possible nominees, and then among all of those ballots cast for, and everyone offers Best Picture nominees in their ballot, depending. It doesn't matter.
So you can write anything down there, and they take it a tally.
No, what I'm
of it.
saying is,
every
I
branch
write
gets
in
to
all
put
the
it.
actor categories. I give you a 5 or 10 or whatever list for actor, for actress, supporting, and then I also add in my thoughts for Best Picture. And then that's the whole point of the nominees. It's of the the experts in that particular category. These are the 5 they think you should focus on.
Right.
And so they kind of do the work. The actors do the work for the rest of the membership to say, hey, these are performances we think should be lifted up. And then the Best Picture nominees represent the total collective opinion of the. And there's other rules that I don't really know. Like I heard. In order to be nominated for Best Picture, you have to, because you do numbers. I think it's 1 through 5 or something like that.
Okay.
You have to be number 1 for somebody. Like you could have everybody in the Academy could have put you down as number 2, and there's 9 on this one. I guess you can have up to 10. But if somebody doesn't say you're number 1, you're ineligible.
Really?
So yeah, and then it's it's one of those kind of waterfall systems. How many vote for the thing? Once that film that's the top film is selected, then you go, what's the next amount of votes? Highest amount of votes? Incorporating that number scale system. So anyhow, it's PricewaterhouseCoopers guys walk out there, at the Kodak, and you sort of look at them and go like, I don't know what those guys really do. They just carry. It's like the football; they carry the ballots out there.
Yeah.
But I think it's their job to kind of monitor all these rules and make sure that we've all done them properly. But one of the cool things is that this year, for the reason I'm in the Academy actually is my short film. In 1995, I don't know, something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Anyhow, was nominated in the live action short subject category.
Right.
So and anybody who's nominated for an Oscar, I think, is invited to be in the Academy.
Okay.
I believe
So
is how that
cool.
works.
Okay.
But then you have to be sponsored in. It's kind of like an old
Club. Yeah.
Or being a Mormon.
It's like being Mormon. It's exactly like
in
being
Utah
Mormon.
trying to get a drink.
Exactly.
Yeah, same thing.
But in every other year since I've been a member of the Academy, and I think since my dad was also nominated in the live action short subject category in '69, in order to vote in that category, the documentaries and the live action animated and live action short, those 2 short film categories, you had to go to the Academy in LA, or if you're in New York, and see them all. You had to watch all 5 of them and then vote right then.
Really?
Wow.
So all of those Oscars that went to filmmakers for the documentaries and stuff, most of the membership didn't see it. Wow. So this is the first year where they're letting the DVDs of those films in those categories go home and people can watch it. So this will be the first time that likely the entire Academy. It usually at the Academy Awards, when it comes to shorts, people kind of, that's when everybody goes out to get something to drink, and the music plays extra fast, and like that. But I think everyone will have a greater interest in it now because they will have seen them and they'll be rooting for different films. So I intend to. The deadline is here on my handy ballot.
When are the awards?
The award. I don't know when the awards.
Awards are February 24th.
24th. Oh, Sunday.
My birthday.
I'm on the 25th.
Oh my
Wow.
God!
It's like
you
we're the
guys.
same
We're the
person.
same person.
That's awesome.
I think I should get invited to present because it's my birthday.
You should, absolutely.
I was going to say, that was a good thing to ask for as opposed to attend.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to attend unless there's a possible chance.
I just want to present.
And even then, 4/5 of the people
Hey
in
guys,
there are
I have a new show on
disappointed.
CBS. Anyway, the nominees are. They'll be like, get off the
Just
stage.
plug and you get lost. I'm a cop in
Why are you
Brooklyn.
saying that's exactly what that's about?
Yeah.
I want to go.
What's the new show on CBS?
It's called Golden Boy.
Based on the
It aired.
play?
No, nothing to do with the play. Nothing to do with the play at all. Although it was weird. I know the girl who was the lead in that play, running the same time on Broadway as we were shooting our show. We also don't have anything to do with Oscar De La Hoya either, which apparently He owns
Golden
that
Boy,
production
yeah.
company.
Is he suing?
No, he's not suing, but we did get to go to a
But
couple
they
of
have to
fights.
say
That's
Tecate
good.
once in a
That's
while.
good. What's they gotta do?
You have to say Tecate. If you ever watch Golden Boy,
Yeah.
like I'm a fight fan, you have to.
Yeah.
The word Tecate is next to Golden Boy and all the.
Yeah.
But there's a hot girl in the play.
And a hot girl on the show.
Yeah, well, that's why I told him. I
thanks.
told him they need to put her more on the billboard.
Yeah,
I
there's
love
no
how guys
Sean-
just go straight
The
to that.
billboards
They're
are
like,
just
sure,
for
she's a hot girl.
Sean has
You
lucked
could do
out both
that.
times. Sean had Katie Sackhoff the first time. Now he has Tiffany and Bonnie. You lucked out on this one.
I did.
We watch it.
All right, so I
Yeah.
happen to have seen some years I've seen a lot, and some years not so much. I happen to have probably because I knew I was coming on your show here.
I love it.
I'm not
He
kidding.
did his homework.
I know.
I've seen
I'm not
every.
shocked.
I've seen every Best Picture nominee.
And we're going to definitely, I want to get into all that too, because
Mm-hmm.
of what I also, the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was as far as, because you can't necessarily, let's say, we can't ask Sean to.
Don't
say
tell us who's gonna
he's not
win,
gonna-
Sean.
he's not
Just
gonna
don't-
tell-
don't
he
tell
can't-
us who's
can't
gonna
tell us
win.
who he's voting for.
I can't. It's actually a rule that I can't
Yeah.
tell you who I'm voting for. That's a rule. Like I could be
Right, but
I
you
don't
can,
know,
but you can tell
drawn
us,
and quartered by the Academy.
but you can tell us what you think has a shot to win, can't you?
You'll see in the way I describe things what I
Okay.
think is moving in the right direction. But you know, and interestingly, some things that I really like, I don't think are positioned very strong. There is one thing I will say: I have not watched the Globes, the SAG, the DJ. I know that
Why is
Ben
that?
Affleck.
Why haven't you watched it?
I'm busy.
Okay.
Like,
No,
I-
me too. I
not
just
because
haven't.
you weren't interested.
No,
just
I just
because-
didn't watch. I was
Okay.
busy.
Okay.
Not because it
Oh,
was
you
some
were working.
strategic
I was working,
move.
but
Yeah.
I did. I apparently the Globes were pretty good this year. Apparently the
The
ladies
Gold-
did a great job.
it's-
I'm huge fans of both of those women. So
It's funny because the Golden Globes, I'm usually always the opposite. Like
Yeah,
Golden
you always
Globes-
hate it.
It's always a party, and like that year, The Tourist got one. It was even nominated for anything. They let anyone in the building for that movie was, I couldn't believe it. But the fact this year, I felt they got it right. I felt that they got the nominations right. I felt they got a lot of the winners right. It just looked like they actually maybe they took so much flack last year for they I don't know what they did,
but I heard it was a fun show. Like they did a
were
great job.
Amy Poehler and Tina Fey were great.
Well,
and
they're the best. I could
and I
watch
love
them do
Ricky
anything.
Gervais. I just
Well,
thought,
actors like it because it's they drink and they interact with other
Right.
Yeah.
people, their peers, and that
Right.
you don't have to worry about those technical categories. It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
But you're gonna say
I was just going to say, as far as like with the Golden Globes, and I have a question, and let me say this for Tiffany because I know she's going to want to say it too. Everyone here thinks that you should have won Best Supporting Actor. By the way,
Golden Globe.
No, Best Supporting Actor is an Oscar. You absolutely should have won
Yeah.
that. I think everybody here is in agreement
Yeah.
with me. But we talked about that before, and I promised Tiffany I would tell you that. So, anyways,
I'm trying to pretend I'm being really cool right now.
I know she's like we're going to tell. We're going to talk about your tattoo. We're going to tell him. We're going to tell him everything. Well, we got to go to break in a second here. We are with our guest Bonnie Somerville, our lovely co-host today. Guest Sean Astin, Tiffany Smith, myself, Christian Harloff, Schmoes No Podcast. We'll be back in just a little bit, and we're going to talk more Oscar talk. Tweet in. Gotta love this. You know, everyone knows this song, I hope. Django. One of the movies nominated for Best Picture this year. And again, we're going to talk about Django a little bit later as far as Tarantino goes. And we're here with Tiffany
strong
Smith.
feelings about that.
What's that?
I have strong feelings about that one.
Okay, definitely want to. Pro or con?
Yeah, strong feelings.
Well, maybe.
I thought he
uh-oh.
said
Whoa.
first,
No,
like,
wait.
hold on.
I was like, wait, what?
I asked this for a reason because now this.
Of the 9, it's the one that I feel is the toughest for me to feel good about.
Damn it!
Wait, for a second, I thought he said,
All right,
I
well-
have Sean feelings about that one. And I was
I have
like,
Sean
wow, we're talking
refer
in
to
the
my-
third
that's a thing.
All right,
person.
well, this is that statement.
We just went there.
That statement is going to make this segment very interesting by the end of this. All right, so we're sponsored by a show by a t-shirt company called Ripped Apparel, which again we all have shirts. It's such a great deal. It's literally like you get these shirts that they mix movie references and everything too. And
I don't have one. Hello,
yeah,
hint, hint.
anytime you want one, yeah, and it literally, if you put in Schmoes all lowercase in the coupon code, you get $1 off these things. This is like Game of Thrones and Batman. It's such a great shirt, and the fans
brought
love
the
it.
coolest one that
But
has ever been
Yeah, you
made.
got to show Sean that one.
Which one?
This is the one.
The Hobbit.
But yeah,
Oh,
Isn't that cool?
So good.
That's awesome.
We really tried hard to make. Well,
That one is really cool.
I think I
Happy
was.
Rim.
I can't remember who I was. George. I think it was George.
Well, the thing is, and the reason I asked you about Django, Sean, is because we wanted to give you a gift for coming on the show.
Really?
Yeah, and you got a gift, but I don't know
love
how you're going
presents.
Bonnie's going to be
I don't know how
jealous.
you're gonna
Hell,
feel
what the-
about
I
this.
don't get a gift?
Now
What the-
remember, Bonnie,
You're
you
a
get gifts all the
host.
time.
I haven't gotten.
Hosts get
Shit.
jacked.
You stop. You get gifts all the time. So now look.
I got water.
Sean.
Yes, sir.
I've never
I'm
gotten
trying to
water
tweet
on this
about this show right now.
Just beer.
Here's the gift.
What's that?
Boom. Done it.
Sloth
Oh my
Unchained.
gosh.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
It is. Now, I don't know if the Django part is going to set you off. Can you pass that down to Sean, please?
No, I love it. Are you kidding me?
And we just thought that would be perfect for you. It's for
Well,
That's
I'm
really cool.
critical of the movie right now. I should be wearing this shirt. It's cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now Sean has a ripped shirt. It's and that's
Thank you.
no problem. That was a perfect one. It was a no-brainer. Bonnie, anytime you want a ripped shirt, you tell me which one you want, and then,
I want one.
all right. Anytime, they do
Do
it.
I have to pick
You
one?
have to
No,
look
they're
at
doing
change
it
every day.
The way they do it is it's 1 day deal. So like it's like after 24 hours the shirt's gone.
Okay, so but how do I get one? How
You
do I?
just gotta tell me. You just gotta look at the
But how
site.
do I pick what I want?
You go to rippedapparel.com.
Oh, they're already made.
They're already made, and so they'll ship it out to you. You just got to tell me that you want one, and we'll get you one.
Yeah, get a
We gotta
golden.
have
Can you make a golden boy
We got to
one?
ask Rip to do it, but they have
For the
great
crew,
artists.
for my cast?
We should. But again, that's Ripped Apparel. If you guys don't know it, you can always check it out on ToadHop.network, ToadHopNetwork.com. Shut up over there. I haven't had any drink.
He hasn't been drinking at all. That's pretty good.
Dude, I'm working with a baby here.
Let's get
still-
to these best picture things because
Let's
we're going to
do
run
it.
out of time.
Yeah,
the sun's going to come up.
We got 10 o'clock. We got 10 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Let's do some of the categories here. We have as far as let's start with screenplay, because this is to me something. Here are the nominees. You have Argo by Chris Terrio, Beasts of the Southern Wild by Lucy Alabar and Ben
That's
Zeitlin.
adapted.
Yeah, are we doing
screenplay.
original
Are you doing
or
screenplay?
adapted?
Original or adapted?
You guys can host the fucking show tonight. I'll tell you
I mean,
that.
get it right.
We,
dude.
we didn't
Seriously.
hear you.
Adapted screenplay.
I didn't adapt this screenplay for nothing.
Yeah,
You know?
Life of Pi by David McGee, Lincoln, Tony Kushner, and Silver Linings Playbook by David O. Russell. Adapted screenplay. I'm going to go ahead and I think that David O. Russell is going to win this one. I know that Lincoln's probably the favorite, but I'm going
I
with
think
David O.
Argo's
Russell.
going to win.
Okay. Let's go with Tiffany. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with Silver Linings.
Okay. And Sean, I know you can't say who you're voting for, but can you tell us who you think is a good shot? How can you do this?
I can just tell you what I think of them.
Yes.
The horse race is going to be really hard for me to contribute with right now.
Okay.
The Lincoln is what Peggy. Wait, what's her name? The author of
the book?
Yeah, it's
Riley.
Facty McFacterson.
Riley,
Yeah.
that's our fact.
Get on that.
All right.
It is. She's one of our preeminent. She's a preeminent historian in America. She's always on PBS shows and she's on the Sunday shows. Doris Kearns Goodwin. I actually. I'm a runner. I run a lot, and I'll listen to books on tape when I run sometimes. And I listen to a lot of this book. Not an easy thing to do, to grab the density of. It's all about the language and understanding the nuance of the history, and she does an epic job of describing who all of these people are. The Tommy Lee Jones character, and who is the what do you call it, the ranking member or whatever. But so just the task of trying to get your head around parliamentary politics. Yeah. Civil War era thing. I think is real heavy lifting.
And that's what was so fascinating about that movie in general was that. And again, I say this to everyone who hasn't. If you go into that movie again thinking that it's just about Lincoln and how he became president, I think you'll obviously be thrown off. And I think that's what a lot of people did. I knew right beforehand it was all about getting the amendment passed, and so.
Or if you expected to see any fighting.
Yes, and you
didn't get to see the Battle of Gettysburg.
How does the play end, though?
Does
the play end well?
It doesn't work that well. No, it's a spoiler how it ends. But the thing is, it's just but I knew how it was going. I think because of what you just said, the way that it was broken down, and the way that they explained the way that the system worked, and the back and forth, the parties, the way that they would handle it, it was so fascinating to me. Like watching it, like just because of all the breakdown, and because of Tommy Lee Jones' performance and Daniel Day-Lewis, obviously.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the biggest things. The writing was incredible, but getting the right actors in there where there isn't really a lot of action going on at all, but you're so enthralled with their performance.
Right.
Well, for this category, that and this is for better or worse, I think a lot of Academy members, there's no rule. There's no guidebook to how to think about it.
Right.
But I look at Beasts of the Southern Wild, which just ripped my guts out. I just thought it was an amazing movie. It almost looks like a documentary. I mean, it would be easy to think that the screenplay wasn't as important as capturing that little girl's performance kind of in real time in that place. And it's probably things don't happen by accident. The screenplay probably was amazing. I'm just my bias is I just can imagine the screenwriters for Lincoln having to sit there for 3 years trying to unpack everything, whereas the Beast of the Southern Wild, that movie, its accomplishment was about digging into this emotional life of the little girl, and it's probably a wrong way to think about it, and screenwriters are going to kill me, but that's and Argo and the Life of, I just finally watched The Life of Pi. That was the last one I watched.
I have to see
for me,
that. Is it good?
I like, here's my thing with Life of Pi as far as
I love the
screenplay
novel.
and from what a lot of people were saying when it was announced that they were going to make that book into a movie.
I know you don't read books anymore. You just watch
That's
movies.
Ellis. I read the books. Ellis doesn't read.
No, he doesn't.
I read the books.
Now
doing
he
a
just
book
he
club
only
in
watch.
here.
You were like that guy in high school, like Cliff's Notes.
Not
to watch the movie.
Are you talking? Are you?
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
exactly.
I'm kidding.
So they with Life of Pi, when they announced that they were going to do this.
Yeah, I was like, how?
Exactly. That's what most people said was how they were going to do it.
Live action tiger.
And then they say Ang Lee, and you're like, oh,
And
okay.
You're like,
that's
there you go.
exactly right,
Okay.
though. And that's the thing now. For me personally, I think Life of Pi was all about the directing and Ang Lee, because although I liked the story and I liked everything that was involved in the movie, had Ang Lee not directed and made it such a masterpiece visually, I don't know how invested I would have been in
the
that
Talking
movie.
Tiger.
Well, it's very
No, he doesn't
linear.
talk.
Oh, he doesn't talk.
I mean, I don't know the book, but it does kind of just lay its one thing in front of the what?
Sorry, no, I thought there was a talking tiger in it. I have to see
Maybe
it.
in the book.
That's on
maybe in the
Serial.
book, yeah.
That's on cereal box, right?
But
The
the
tiger. Well, depending on how you interpret it, but it actually I thought it was kind of simplistic story wise.
yeah, I agree.
So I think I would probably lean away from it in this particular category. But
Yeah.
what do I know? Silver Linings Playbook, that dialogue, that fast-paced bullet dialogue is pretty great.
Yeah,
I gotta see that. I want to see it.
I have it on my
it's so
bag. I'll
good.
give it to you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
You heard that. You all heard that.
Yeah.
You all heard that. That
You
means I'm
brought
going to
that
borrow
one
it.
with you today, huh?
Don't try.
Yeah,
We know a lot about bipolar in my family, and it was we were hypnotized by it. It was really, really, really well. I mean, Cooper, you get to that.
Well, how did you know? Talking about the tone now, Sean. How did you feel? Because when I've seen it a few times now, but the first time I saw it, I didn't know what to expect. So when you see that first half, and it's clearly about this guy who's going through this disease, and it's very serious for that first 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And then the tone shifts. I mean, it goes more. It's not like off the wall romantic comedy, but it's a romantic comedy for the second half of it. Were you okay with that? Did you think that it threw off what it accomplished in the first hour? I mean, I know there's a lot of mixed feelings.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that a lot.
I felt really good about the idea that once his girlfriend, once he's able to his obsession with his girlfriend, his wife who cheated on him, right? His obsession with her, his unwillingness to let it go, his stalker mentality, everything. When a new girl comes into the picture, he's able to. It unlocks it for him, and I felt like the tone of the movie shifts the way his consciousness shifts. So I thought it was fantastic.
And De Niro, I want to see it because apparently De Niro is like a good De Niro. He's actually good acting De Niro, which he's been gone for a while.
Yeah, it's you see what we loved about De Niro.
It's
when
very
he used
basic.
to
It's
act.
very simple, but it's very honest.
Right, but
very
he
much
hasn't
so.
been, in my opinion, he hasn't been honest in his acting in a
True.
long time. It's been so much
and
shtick.
That's what David O. Russell's great at doing, though. Too, he gets. He gives these actors these roles. I mean, look, Christian Bale last year, and
Lily Tomlin. I mean, what he did,
Well,
with
yeah,
her.
I mean, it's whatever your process is, and he gets the best out of people, and that I agree that I think that for me, it was the whole tone was a play on bipolarism in itself.
Well, also what it does is, you start enjoying it. I mean, it's good. It's well written. Her character's fantastic. She goes on this riff where she knows the dates and the nuances of sports scores better than all these, diehard, guys who that's their whole life and everything. And she
Isn't
kind
that
of
like a guy's dream, though, in every film?
Yeah, but she uses it
Come on,
like a
done
like
before.
But she does it really well.
Yeah,
she does it really well. But then the haunting thing is, if it doesn't work with them, are you going to go back to where you were in the beginning? Are you going to go back? And if you go back there, you just can't imagine a movie. These independent movies, they can do that to you. They can make you suffer. They can show you the fact that things don't end well, and you just have this lump in your throat, hoping that it doesn't go.
Which I feel, not to change the subject, and you disagree with me. I feel that Flight did that the entire movie. It kept you completely I mean, it really kept you the entire film.
Yeah.
Like, is he gonna? And I know there's some cheesy, like he grabs the bottle.
I like that moment,
and then the
though.
camera's
Yeah.
on the
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
and he comes back and he swipes the bottle. But I felt the entire movie. I was like, is it gonna go back? Is he gonna go back? Is he gonna? The
Right.
whole time, I didn't know how it was gonna go.
Yeah, and but I think that was more of a testament to how great Denzel was.
But you said the film wasn't great,
No, I
so
didn't-
that's a
it wasn't
testament to
at
the film being.
It
great.
wasn't at the film itself, and we'll get more into Flight a little later when we talk about Denzel. But I just think that it was a good movie. With Zemeckis coming back out, I was expecting.
See, I thought it was
All right,
beautifully done.
And a lot of people. There were a lot
It's
of people.
amazing how
that-
things can grab you. You were in.
I was in.
You
And
were
the
in.
whole,
That's it.
the whole time I was in, whether he was going to do it, whether he was going to get sober or not get sober, I was at the edge of my seat the entire film. And I think Denzel can do that to you. No matter, he could read the phone book, and I'm going to be sitting there going,
that's true.
"Oh God, the phone book."
We're at the M's. We're at the M's.
We're at the M's. Denzel, don't.
I just want to say something about the whole point of the Academy. The mission of the Academy is to bring heightened focus to excellence in cinema, appreciation for it, and a lot of times it gets. And I said this earlier, but this morning, but degenerates into a kind of excessive focus on what are people wearing and the horse race and all this kind of stuff. Something happens whenever we talk in life. Whenever we talk about movies, there's this instant negotiation that happens when you ask somebody about a movie that they've seen, or when you've seen a movie with somebody. I was totally moved and affected by it, and if you were too, there's affinity, and we can have a great talk. But if you weren't, I'm now robbed somehow of my experience, and I'm going to have
friends
You can't be
I'm
friends.
either going to acquiesce, and just capitulate my point of view, or feel like it's being diminished somehow because I'm having to defend it rather than just own it. And so I hope it sounds like the way you're working this now, you're contributing to a positive conversation. But I think that phenomenon and the expectation phenomenon, where if somebody drags you kicking and screaming to a movie, you always end up liking it. And if you can't wait for 6 months to see a movie, you're always disappointed.
Yeah.
So I just kind of put that out there.
No, I agree. I agree with you. Very well said, my friend. And let's get to original screenplay because we've talked about adapted. We'll get to original screenplay too, and this is something that I know that.
Everyone knows where my vote is on this one.
Yes. So speaking of which, we had Flight by John Gattens, Moonrise Kingdom, Wes Anderson and Roman Coppola, Zero Dark 30, Mark Bowl, Django Unchained, Quentin Tarantino, and Amour
see
by
this Amour.
Michael Hanke.
Have you seen this?
Yeah.
I have.
Is it amazing?
I missed it.
Yeah.
That's the one I missed.
Amour is it's an international film, English subtitles. It's essentially a two-character piece, really. I mean, there's a friend who comes at one point, or a doctor, and then the daughter makes two or three things. But it's all set in this this Parisian apartment, and the two characters are these 80-year-old. I think what they are is they're like retired piano teachers. So there is a sophistication, elegance about them, but you don't really get to experience that very much. Very early on, she has an episode. It's maybe a stroke, maybe you're not quite sure, and it's like it's an end of life story, and it's about how you just watch. I mean, there's one shot where you're at the end of the hallway, the camera on a tripod, lock off, and down at the end of the hallway, the door is slightly ajar. You can see the man's he's sitting down. You can see his knees and his feet, and the top of the newspaper that he's changing, and it goes for like 2.5 minutes, and you don't. That's
so
it.
it's a comedy.
It's a comedy. It's kind of knee slapping,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
that kind of.
throwing popcorn around.
I've been married 20 years.
20
I've been married
years. You're
20
like,
years.
what? What did you get married? You were 10?
Something like that.
Jesus.
Something like that. I watch this movie and you sort of go, wow, what's it going to be like for us? You won't let her be put in a home. He has to do everything for her. She comes in and out. She doesn't really have dementia, but she's kind of losing her grip on it. And the performances of these two actors are just fall on the floor, unbelievable.
Wow.
It's a boring movie for people who are used to, seeing the world blow up and stuff. But if you have a sensitivity and you're in the right frame of mind when you see this movie, it's stunning in its simplicity and realism.
And you saw Amour.
I did. I went. It was a weird back-to-back with a recent, in my new girlfriend. We saw This Is 40, and then a day later saw Amour.
That's funny. That's a good double bill right there.
I mean, Amour, we walked out and we didn't like each other. And then Amour, we were like, Do we love each other?
Right.
It was good. It was good.
And did you like? Because everyone, I heard.
Well,
I heard. Don't see This Is 40. I'm 38. I heard. Do
I
not
wasn't-
see it.
that-
You'll
I
be
wasn't a
depressed.
huge- I just thought it was too long.
My wife walked in and handed it to me. She's like, "You got to watch this." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is our life.
Yeah, but more. I mean, again, I hear great things about it too. I heard from the way you explained it, it seems like it's one of those really deep, emotional movies that leaves you just wow, but you just don't go in if you want to feel like lighthearted. So
It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's told in a very simple way, and you forget sometimes what I mean. I don't know. I know a lot of people who've been in old folks' homes, and we've watched them at the end of their life, and trying to figure out how to. We don't in this country, by and large, we don't do that so good. We're not that great at helping people, at that phase of their life, and so getting to watch that happen and to see it. It's mostly not a gory. It's not gross. It's not like really hard to watch. It is a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's one of those movies that's handmade for Academy members who want to see a beautiful relationship between two real people on a very basic, simple level. And
See, those are the movies that I like. So,
and so as far as
Christian, you'd hate it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, so as far as writing, like you think that it's well written. It seems again like everyone's talking about how well written it was from the people I've talked to about it more, but
haven't seen Moonrise Kingdom.
Moonrise Kingdom, I just started watching, and
so
again,
good.
and you know what it is. It's funny though too because you're either a Wes Anderson fan or you're not, and then like again that is what I wonder as far as the screenplay goes. It's about the style again with Wes Anderson. Like it was good. It's a good movie, but it's that style of Wes Anderson that makes the film.
movie.
Yeah.
He's the auteur.
I mean, again, it's like I don't know. Like if you like this for me, like a great screenplay is like yes, a great director is going to make it great, but again. That screenplay, you give it to another director. Obviously, he wrote this, but it's not the same thing, and I don't know if it's as good.
I didn't see it this year. Many years running, the Academy has sent out booklets, kind of miniaturized screenplay booklets for each of these, and I don't know who can take the time to read all of them, but if you just kind of flip to the middle and you start reading them, particularly if you haven't seen the movies yet, they grab you in a different way.
Yeah.
And I'm always during the ceremony. A lot of times they'll play a scene from the movie and they'll show a clip of the, a little scrap of the text that's written there, and you just think, boy, it's easy to take for granted, how movies get made and what goes into, kind of setting them up. So I wouldn't know how to, Django Unchained.
That's what I wanted to bring up to you because again, for me, out of these, I like I said, I didn't see him more, but I thought that Django, as far as a script went, is the best script. The script for me, I just thought the writing. I'm a huge Tarantino fan. I love the way he puts together words for characters. I think he knows his characters so well in and out. That opening thing with Christoph Waltz was just.
He's.
Did you see Django yet?
Yeah,
Fun?
he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
as far
phenomenal.
as writing, it's just like he blows.
I don't know
away with his
how I feel about the whole movie, but he is a phenomenal actor. He's like.
Oh, Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Tarantino writes right at him now.
Yes. I mean that, and because again, Christoph Waltz was, he did a couple movies in and out. Since Inglourious Bastards, he hasn't made a big oomph, and then he comes back and does another Tarantino.
This part in Django Unchained is very, 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 very similar to the part he plays in Inglourious Bastards.
Just not as evil.
Well, yeah,
just a different accent.
He's not
it's
evil
just
at all.
It's a different.
He's good
and a different accent.
Well, he's evil. He's evil in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, in Inglourious Bastards.
That's what I'm saying.
Django Unchained.
That's my point. Is the fact that that's the difference. You said is very similar.
Yeah.
And I said the difference is the fact that in Inglourious Bastards he's an evil dude.
That's that silky tongued, crisp thinking, intellectually superior, guy who's existing at the edge of an environment that is just cutthroat and deadly at any second with a kind of joy that it's very and just the dialogue. Quentin Tarantino wrote that dialogue, and it's just the rhythm of the dialogue is very, very similar.
Yeah.
Well, and the interesting thing with him too, if you see him do speeches, he's really awkward. Christoph Waltz when he talks, and you're like, well, how is this the same person? And then you're like, it's the writing that makes this character come alive.
So, I mean, can you? I guess we'll get a little more into depth with.
You can't Zero Dark 30.
Well, no, I definitely want to talk about that. I was bringing up the Django thing, but I think we'll talk about maybe your thoughts on it. Yeah, when we get to Best Picture.
Do you feel like Django versus Moonrise Kingdom is different though? I feel like if someone else took Quentin's script and did that, it wouldn't come out the same as it does.
Well, yeah, because he's got his own style, but I still think the dialogue is so incredible.
But you didn't feel that way about Moonrise?
Yes, I did. I think the dialogue's good, but just it's so different. Like you can hear people talk in a Tarantino movie, and if you give his like True Romance, if you gave his script to someone else, they can do something phenomenal with it. You know what I mean? Like Wes Anderson is so specific to his writing and his filmmaking that I just don't know if I would have had the same impact. But anyway, but Sean, you want Zero Dark 30? That was my favorite movie of last year.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
I want to see that like immediately. I've been dying to every day.
It was my
didn't Catherine Bigelow go? Wasn't she picked up by the CIA or somebody and questioned for whether or not?
And they're not releasing it in many countries. They will not release the film. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but this is what I wanted to talk to Sean.
This world right
now. Sean's podcast on Toad Hop. It's today. It's on Thursdays
12 to 2. Yeah,
a very very political show and very great show that I wanted to actually hear. I haven't heard all your thoughts on Zero Dark 30, so I'm very. I
haven't talked about it on the show. I mean, in the context of best, original screenplay, just taking the film on its face, the way it wants you to experience it, what must they have gone through to try and figure that out? I would have assumed that was based on some other work, a documentary or a book, a novel, something like that. The fact that they went in there, if even 5% of it is true, harnessing some of that data and figuring out how to get access, which is the issue that she's been most criticized for, that Catherine Bigelow has been criticized for potentially revealing classified information in the book, which, I mean, I have a very simplistic view of that. If something's classified information, you shouldn't tell it. I mean, I don't fault her as an artist for wanting to do it, but as an American citizen, you're responsible for keeping our nation's secrets secret. Right. So I don't have any personal animus against her. I don't need to go after her or anything like that, but. And I must say that the appetite of the body politic is very strong to know more about what happened with SEAL Team 6, which ironically is barely even depicted in the movie. It's like
the last
not a movie about
like 25 minutes,
the last 6 minutes, and it's a bunch of guys who are kind of gung ho and ready to go, and they're very modern guys, and they go in and they do it and they get out, and you're like, really? I thought this was going to be Chuck Norris, go back into the prison war camp, and how do you evacuate something? Right. But it's really the story of managing information.
Yeah.
And
that's to me, that's what was fascinating, because regardless, I mean, of how the information was attained or whatnot, watching the film, I didn't know what to expect going in. I obviously the story, but and it was all the information. And Jessica Chastain, I didn't even know how big of a part she had until I saw the movie, and I was just engaged the whole way through. And the way that they set it up,
I thought it was like an ad for like a sports drink at first.
Really?
I just saw Zero Dark 30 billboards. I was like, is that like a new Red Bull? Like I just thought, it was like the
night vision goggles with the crosshairs on, and you're like, God, I got to get that.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, I need to lose weight. Zero Dark 30. Okay, hang on, what? I don't know.
It just, it's one of those movies that it just blew me away when I saw it.
It's sort of another knock that it's taken. Again, I haven't followed a lot of the media coverage on any of these movies, but I did catch a little bit of this one, which was the torture conversation.
Yeah,
it's it goes right into the teeth of it. Actually, I think I have a similar critique with this as I do with Django, but maybe less so with this. But the idea is the film, there's not enough kind of, plot development, really kind of swift-moving plot development. Maybe I'm not saying it right, but the torture is really an important anchor point for the film.
Yes.
You've got the torture, you've got the SEAL Team 6 at the end of the movie, and then the core of the movie, the heart of the movie, is about this one analyst who is able to navigate the politics of the, of that division within the government, and her single-minded focus when apparently the rest of the country is not paying any more attention to bin Laden, is what's able to put the pieces together, and she basically has to bully people into doing the right thing and paying attention to something that's in everyone's interest to pay attention to. So, but the point I'm making is that the torture itself, the waterboarding and some of that stuff is. I kind of watched it with a skeptical eye. I've actually played in a little independent film that hasn't come out yet. It's called Boys of Abu Ghraib, and I play a guard at the heart site of Abu Ghraib. And so I did a lot of, read several books, watched a bunch of documentaries, talked to some people, and, it's the first time I've ever had, night terrors.
Really?
Is after reading about what happens, what goes on, not just with what our country does, but lots of what human beings do to each other. And I just feel like I think it's appropriately nominated for Best Picture. I think it's a phenomenal movie. As I deconstruct things in my mind, I was analyzing the torture component there and just trying to decide in my mind how much of that was being done kind of for effect and how much was illuminating about what happened. It's funny because it juxtaposes one of America's, abiding thrusts that, we'll get people. If we want to go get them, we'll go get them. And this is a story about how we went and it took a long time, about how we went and got the guy. One thing we don't like hearing about in our movies is how Americans torture people.
Right.
And yet somehow this movie sort of shows you both, and it gets a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Right.
Because it seems to do both well. So I think if it's true that the U.S. is engaged in this kind of activity a lot, I think, kudos to the movie for being brave enough to depict it.
Yeah, don't you think some people punished her, though, too, for doing that?
I had such a different experience with the film, though. I mean, I felt like, one, it was one of the most affecting films I've ever seen. Like, I don't cry in movies, and I started crying within the first 2 minutes. And not because I felt sad, but just because it was such a big idea to wrap my mind around.
Right.
And the torture scenes, for me, I felt like they handled it in a way, and I don't follow as much into politics as I should, so I don't know. For me, it was seeing it for the first time and seeing it in a way where I didn't feel like they were glorifying it. They were like, this is what happens. Like, this kind of thing is what our military does to protect us.
It's pretty naive to think that doesn't happen. I just,
And leaving the film, for me, it was more like I just had an overwhelming feeling of, and I've told you guys this, I just want to support our troops. Like, that was what I left feeling, like that they're protecting us, and that's how I felt. And it was amazing.
Well, this is a
It'd be interesting if it wins right after the film last year, after Hurt Locker.
It's funny. What is Catherine's deal? Like, is that her fascination?
I don't know.
For a female 60-year-old, woman in Hollywood to want to tell these stories? I find that the most interesting. Why does she want to tell these stories? No other females.
Well, she must see herself in the lead character in this movie.
And in Hurt Locker,
I think she
was
does,
Jeremy.
Talking to Jessica Chastain, when we were reading some of her interviews, when they were talking to her, like
I love how you just said talking to Jessica Chastain. That was like
I know.
Such a, like,
you
wish.
I know, I wish. No, it's true. But no, she was, listening to her talk about it, she was very just talking about how big this character was that she was playing. And then she also talked about Catherine Bigelow and how strong these women are, and you could tell that Catherine
But I mean, in
really
Hollywood, it's interesting. She's the only female that's really doing these
like this. I know.
The only one. No other woman is. I mean, she's not doing romantic comedies.
Let's not forget about Point Break.
All right. Okay.
All right. That being said, we're going to go to break here. Listen, we're with Sean Astin, who's just dropping tons and tons of knowledge.
Amazing. I'm fascinated.
Yeah,
I love it.
I can't wait to talk to him about some of the other awards. We got Bonnie Somerville from Golden Boy, Tiffany Smith, myself, Christian Harloff, and the rest of the Schmoes crew. We'll be back in a second. We're going to do the Photoshop contest. We're going to take votes.
Awesome.
Come back. All right, we're back. It is the Schmoes Know podcast, and we are here with Bonnie Somerville, Tiffany Smith, and the living legend himself, Sean Astin, is with us. Very happy to have Sean.
Happy to be here.
As we are listening to the Argo, I believe. This is Argo.
Which I loved.
That's a great movie.
So well done.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to talk to you guys before we get into Kenny, come here for a second. Before we get into anything else, I got to tell you guys about our new sponsors. It is Sherry's Berries.
I know Sherry.
Do you really?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so
I've actually ordered that gift for a lot of people, I swear to God.
Sherry, my daughter and her son went to school together, and we were kind of there at the beginning of the Sherry's Berries empire. And
Really?
It
is an
love 'em.
empire.
We love them. They're so good.
They are really good.
All
I've
right.
ordered them as gifts for my mom. She does love them.
I mean, just even a ringing endorsement from Sean. Look, there's a lot of stuff now with Sherry's Berries. You got Valentine's Day coming up, so I mean, it could be, ladies, it could be a sexy gift. I think about it. It could be. It could be a sexy gift. You don't think it would be a sexy gift? Berries covered in chocolate.
if you're talking
sexy.
if you're
It's just
talking like
funny how
reenacting
you
9.5
said that.
weeks, then yes. But if you're talking
could be a
straight
Wait,
gifts,
I'm not telling you that I'm going
gift.
to drip it on your body, but why can't you? It's like it's a sexy night with
This
candles.
is like a small insight into guys' minds.
But why
Yes.
not? So you don't.
this is why I pick out Christian's gifts for his
It's
wife,
true.
which is true.
So why not? Why
because
not?
of what he just said,
But
right,
wait,
Sadie?
So you don't think that that's a
Sexy
A berry?
berries.
No. Sexy berry.
So wait, Sean. So you've never your wife and you have these Sherry's berries. You don't have like a
20
nice
years, I
night.
hope he's not.
Yeah, but you have nice.
I'm just
I'm not-
picturing
I didn't
Richard
say
Gere
sex.
in Pretty Woman when he walks in with the berries and the champagne, and he talks about like how one compliments the other or something like that.
And she's like,
We're not quite at the Roosevelt Hotel with my wife, but no, she see. Here's the thing
But
with
it could be
us.
sexy. I'm not talking about having sex with the strawberries. I'm saying they're sexy.
but that's not sexy. What's
No.
sexy about giving berries as a gift? That's sweet. It's nice.
Just reading the freaking text.
Guys, it's romantic. It's romantic. Is
Thank
it not
you.
romantic?
Berries?
They're covered
You
in
can't win,
chocolate.
Sean. You can't win. It doesn't matter how many
I
movies
will
you've
win
done.
this fight.
really
What's
like
romantic? No,
How they keep trying. They're like, but berries.
But berries covered in
With
chocolate
chocolate.
is romantic.
You eat them.
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that when a woman calls attention to her mouth, there's a sexuality to that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Well, let me give you this strawberry. See?
Well, guys, if you
Well,
like,
now we know that guys
Anyway,
think berries are sexy.
if you like sexy mouths and candles, you should try some
And
giantly
chocolate.
fresh dipped strawberries from
The truth
Sherry's
is,
Berries.
the kids get them. We bring them into the house, and the kids.
Now that's totally inappropriate and went down a different path.
Well, they start at $19.99. Over 40% savings. Go to berries.com, click on the microphone,
You
and
didn't
type
think that
in
one through before it came
Toad
out.
Hop. And for my listeners, Schmo's listeners, double the berries for just $10 more. All right, so that was tough to get through, but we did it.
I do love those berries. Anyway,
Okay, all right. So let's get to some more of these awards here, because just listening to Sean and Bonnie talk about this stuff, I'm very curious to hear now. We're going to go into some of the bigger awards. We have some actors and actresses, both where you guys can talk about the process and what goes into some of these things as far as seeing some of these performances. Let's talk about Best Actor first. You got Bradley Cooper from Silver Linings Playbook.
my ex-co-star.
That's right.
Shouldn't you
That's
start
right.
with supporting and build up to actor?
You want to do?
I'm just saying that's what they do
Well,
on the
I run this
show.
show.
What I'm worried about is the fact if we go through all four of those, we're not going to be able to really elaborate into
sorry.
the Best Picture.
Your show.
We can do Best Supporting if you want. So look, you called it. We'll do Best Supporting. We'll start. We'll see how fast we can get through. We got Alan Arkin for Argo, Robert De Niro, Silver Linings Playbook, Philip Seymour Hoffman, The Master, Tommy Lee Jones, Lincoln, and Christoph Waltz, Django Unchained. Now, I think that we've pretty much, some people in the room think that Christoph Waltz did the same thing he did in Inglourious Bastards. I think he was pretty phenomenal. Some people think that Leonardo should have been nominated over him. How do you guys feel that way?
Yes.
You do? You feel that way? Okay.
I completely feel
Bonnie,
that way.
do you feel Leo should have been nominated over Christoph Waltz?
Over? I think he deserved a nomination. I don't know over, but
Okay.
he was pretty amazing.
And Sean, I don't know if you can, how much you can get into that, but how did you feel about Leo's performance in Django?
I thought he was having a lot of fun,
Okay.
and I think sometimes it's fun to watch an actor having fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the same is true for Christopher Waltz. I think there's a little bit of kind of historical memory. Sometimes the Academy, and I think I can say this as an Academy member, sometimes we're a little lazy. We're a little lazy in our thinking. We like a movie.
Why is that? Yeah.
I think it's just human nature.
Okay.
You know, you find a movie that you love, like Zero Dark 30, and so you go through the categories, and and you ping them all. But I mean, you look at most of these categories, it's the same 5 films in virtually every category. Well, maybe that logic tracks, but sometimes I feel like there's a dearth of complexity and nuance in it. As far as these actors that you just mentioned, I just finally watched The Master last night. So
I want to see that because
Joaquin Phoenix is, amazing in that
Really?
movie. But again, that's not for an actor. It just stands
Tommy
out.
Lee Jones was was really kind of opening up a can of whoop ass in Lincoln.
Well, here's a question about that though, because I agree, he was one of my favorite things in that film. Now, do you think, because he's pretty much playing Tommy Lee Jones?
I was like,
though,
it's Tommy Lee Jones.
he's
always
great.
It's great.
He's great, but he's
De Niro, Hoffman, Tommy Lee Jones, and Christopher Waltz.
Well,
you could say
Sean,
the same thing about all four of them.
But I didn't. You felt that way
Hoffman?
about De Niro
Well,
in Silver Linings?
it's impossible to divorce yourself from what you know about De Niro when you're watching him. I mean,
Yeah.
even when you're invested and you enjoy what you're seeing, you can't help but I can't help but be aware of who he is and be appreciating what he's doing for what he's doing. But I just can't. I didn't lose myself in his performance. The movie wasn't about him.
Right.
The movie's about about Chris Cooper. Yeah.
I can see your point on De Niro, but you thought the same for Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Well, listen, Philip Seymour Hoffman is a guy who has consistently done extraordinary work over the last 25 years. He's a guy for whom an Oscar could be given for this performance or any one of 10 other performances, and it would be well deserved. So, having said that, I see Philip Seymour Hoffman being Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
And I thought it was wonderful. It was creepy. It was alluring. It was haunting. It was like all these kind of things. So, and yet I just aware the whole time of who it is. So I don't know what.
No. That's fascinating to me because both Bonnie and Sean, as far as because that's the way you guys look at stuff too, as far as an actor's point of view and how they like. For me, I was lost in Philip Seymour Hoffman's performance. I do see your point where he does the isms of.
Well, he's so.
Sometimes
natural.
they're so good at their isms too. Like not to say when I see someone be what they do, I don't mean to take away from what they do, but sometimes people do one thing so well that the public just responds to it. And I think actors, I've been to movies with many people that say I do not want to see a movie with you ever again because I'm so annoying about critiquing.
Yeah.
And I get that. It's my job. I'm like, God, what would I have done? But sometimes the isms become so good that they rely on that so much that you're like, well, maybe I would have liked to have seen a little something else.
I'm saying it in defense of them.
Yeah.
You were identifying one who you felt that with Tommy Lee Jones, which he's a little over the top in the movie, but he's got a lot of heavy lifting to do because without him, what do you do in that movie? Where you're kind of lost if you don't have somebody holding. They're a little bit of a caricature. All of them are.
Yeah,
and yet they're very captivating,
Yeah, and like I said, like Tommy Lee Jones was my favorite part of that entire movie. Like he came on, I couldn't stop watching him. Like, and it's just one of those things too.
But he has that look in his eye that you've seen in so many things, as does Philip Seymour Hoffman.
And that's how I feel about Denzel in Flight. I see, Denzel does what Denzel does. He can get you to this vulnerable place. The one tier. But when he does so little, what he does in those one moments when he has to, you are like, damn, that's it. And he does it all the time, but I love it.
I think there's a couple of different standards you can apply, right? Yeah. Like one is, does it touch something? Does a performance, does the movie itself, does the music, does the story, do the ideas, does that performer communicate in such a way that you're touched in a way that it grips you, it moves you, you see what the performer had to go through to achieve that part, and those are ways of doing it. One of I only studied for a very brief while with Stella Adler, who's one of the great acting teachers in American history in the 20th century, and she would always say, it's the actor's job to tell the truth on stage. And essentially, she put the writer kind of above, she valued the writer so much that it's the actor's job to communicate the ideas of the playwright. Right. And so when you look at these things, who's doing that? Who's fueling your ability to experience the movie in a way that is that just gives you greater appreciation and understanding and makes the journey of that movie better. So I look at all of those guys, and I think they're all. If I had to handicap it, I bet Philip Seymour Hoffman's gonna, he's gonna look pretty good at that.
Now, one of the reasons he's got a good shot, I think, also is because it's funny when I saw the film. People were saying, "Well, who's going to get nominated for the best actor?" Because they both had such strong presence in the movie.
And that's not what people were saying about Christopher Waltz too.
Well,
he could have been best actor.
Yeah, but I think right. But it was probably easier to separate because.
But he could have been.
The movie's called Django.
The movie's called Django.
Yeah, but that's
yes, you're right. No, you're right.
But that's like when I see, even television, they do that all the time, and it's like, well, we don't want to upstate, but it's like
my mom played Helen Keller, and they put her in the supporting role, and she won the Oscar.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that phenomenon, to me, it's a little silly for Philip Seymour Hoffman to be in a supporting role.
Yeah.
in
I
a
think people do
movie.
that just to handicap their agents and their producers say,
Yeah.
you have a better chance of winning.
Studio.
And you know,
Studio
which
knows
is
what they're gonna
BS.
go for.
Which is
and
BS.
Tiffany, we yell out, "Oh, it was called Django. It was called The Master." He should have been
Yeah,
nominated.
exactly.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So,
but
But you don't want
Touche.
to put two of your actors in the same category.
well, no,
anyway.
I know, but I mean, it's again, how do you pick? But all right. So I think a lot of those roles.
The studio makes a decision.
Yeah, they make a decision.
on who they think they can be effective with at the Golden Globes.
Now, why would they pick?
Same
Joaquin?
as the
'Cause isn't-
network TV. They pick who they think it is
Well,
and
that's
who has a better
fascinating.
shot.
But that's fascinating. Then, but why do you think? Your opinion? Why do you think that they would pick Joaquin Phoenix over Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Especially after all the controversy.
Right, and because Joaquin is so, outward saying that he's not a fan of these shows, these awards, they mean nothing. Why would you think they would choose him?
I mean, what do I think their public justification for choosing him
Yeah,
is, or why
yeah.
do I think they choose him? They choose him because they think they've got a chance to win. They know that he's deserving. Everybody in the Academy is looking for a moment to give Philip Seymour Hoffman an Oscar.
I mean,
they're
why
gonna
they pick Joaquin over Philip Seymour Hoffman in the best
Because
actor?
Joaquin's never won. Because he's always been nominated, but he's never won.
But if you're going for the votes of the Academy, and Joaquin's basically saying,
that's
No,
just him.
there's an it's a hunch.
yeah,
The hunch is that Joaquin is due for Best Actor part. And Philip Seymour Hoffman has always been seen as a character actor, even though he's given several very memorable
Yeah.
leading man roles. So,
he didn't win for Capote, didn't he win?
No.
no, he didn't win.
And Joaquin has never won. He was Gladiator, he didn't win.
No, he didn't.
He didn't win for Walk the Line.
For Walk
Yeah.
the Line,
And that was like the big
one,
upset.
yeah,
That
right,
was like,
right,
ooh.
right. That was kind of surprising to me that happened. But again, I am very happy that Alan Arkin was
I love
nominated
him.
for Argo because
love him.
I mean, again,
Argo, fuck yourself. It's
Yeah.
like the best line ever.
But as you were saying, Sean, it's these people that in these roles really made the movie. You had that much impact on the film, and I think every single one of them did. And regardless, De Niro was real again, and it was nice
Yeah, well,
to see him.
that's why I want to see it because I'm such a fan
Yeah.
of his most of his work.
So we're all agreeing that whoever gets it, it's a worthy call. Nobody got.
Yeah, I don't think anybody. As far as best supporting actor, I mean, the one for me that I thought again, like Leonardo, I would have liked to seen him get nominated, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
They just don't like the Academy. Just
I
doesn't
think they
like
have something
Leo. They
against
have.
them.
They
I
really,
really do.
No, they really do. Every movie
Yeah.
he does, no matter how hard he works. I mean, The
Gilbert
Departed.
Grape.
Yeah, and that was
but
a long.
That was
long
when he
time
was a
ago.
kid. But I mean,
Yeah.
his adult life, people,
Yeah.
they just.
Howard
Maybe
Hughes thing. Did he get nominated for Aviator?
He's been
Yeah,
I
but
think
he never
got nominated.
wins.
He never wins,
and he gets shut out
gets
a lot.
snubbed a lot,
He gets snubbed
yeah.
a lot. I don't know what it is. People
And
just.
I really
Oh
felt
wait,
like in that movie.
so
it
wait a
was-
minute. Matt Brown, Call Me Roy 88 says that Hoffman did win for Capote.
Oh, he did.
That's what he says.
Okay, so he won.
Okay, so,
I stand corrected.
Yeah, all right. So look at
I want to
with
talk
that?
about the odds of who is going to get that girl's name from Beast of the Southern Wild right.
I actually
Who's going to
think-
get that name right in any
You don't
category?
want to be the presenter.
I don't. That would be the one time I get able
They're
to
like,
present,
you
and
could
I'd
be
be like,
presenter, but this is your category.
Kuvenzahan. What is it? How do you say it?
Kuvasane Wallace.
Kuvasena Wallace.
Her performance in that movie is one of the greatest performances in any
I heard the
movie
story of
ever
how they
in the
cast her,
history
too.
of
Really? All right.
movies.
Well, we'll get to the actress in a second.
That
Let's
she
get
she
the
did
best.
that on the audition.
She's 6 years old.
But she apparently in the audition.
With who she is,
But yeah.
she can't be. It's
Yeah.
that kind of. She reminded me of Sidney Poitier. He
Yes, yeah.
carries
Really?
himself with such grace and
Yeah.
dignity and everything else. That's what. Or Jaimin Hansu. She has that kind of power
At 6?
at 6 years old. It's like a street kid. It is a street kid.
Wow.
It's a street. You go to Rome and you walk out there and these street kids at 6, 7 years old and they're trying to pick pockets and stuff and you look in their eyes and it's raw. And this girl is incredible. And
They're like, what up, son?
If she
What
wins,
up?
she'll be the youngest, right?
Yeah, I mean, Anna Paquin
She'll beat.
was
She'll
like
beat.
10 or
She'll
something.
beat.
Anna Paquin.
Paper New. No, Paper. She's the youngest in the history. It's still
Tatum O'Neal,
Tatum
yeah.
O'Neal. If she wins, she'll beat Tatum O'Neal.
Wow. Okay. Let's talk
again,
about this. Let's talk
amazing.
about the supporting ladies. You got again bringing up the master. You got Amy Adams, and then Sally Field for Lincoln. Anne Hathaway, the favorite. What's that? We'll talk about that in a second. Hold on.
I feel like that's every
She's in it
girl's
for one
response.
song.
Wait a
It's
minute,
one song.
It's so weird.
That's
because I feel
it.
like
let's
every
finish.
girl
Let's finish.
responds
Let's-
that
all
way.
she does is one song.
Helen Hunt, The Sessions, and this was a little shocking to me. Jackie Weaver for Silver Linings Playbook. I thought she was great in the movie. She could have been. I think there were stronger. I'm trying to think in my head which one I liked.
I got to see
There was
the
a
sessions.
snub.
I heard Helen Hunt is unbelievable.
Helen Hunt is great. I cannot believe that she was nominated over John Hawkes. That to me is incredible. Like that was my favorite performance. I thought he was going to win. He didn't even get nominated, but that's another conversation. But as far as supporting actress now,
I just think, and let me just clarify,
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
I want to say I loved
We'll
Les
start with
Mis.
her. Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I really loved it, and I'm a huge Les Mis fan. I've seen it on Broadway 5 times. I was a total musical theater geek. It's like I went to school for it. Love her. She did an amazing job, but she's in the movie for one song. Her character that's it.
well, I mean, a couple. I mean,
she has she
like
comes back.
That's not unprecedented in Oscar
But-
history
but
for
it's
someone
like
to
the-
come in and do one note and
It's just, again, it's the only problem I have is, and I'm a musical theater. I went to school for it. That's what I wanted to do. I just think, again, you do a musical, you get unfair advantage in Hollywood. You do. You get unfair advantage.
Even with Les Mis, the way that they did it to where they actually sang the songs like in the
Doesn't
tape.
matter.
You don't think that, but as a singer, you don't
As a
think that's
singer-
impressive?
Singing live, it's easier. It's easier to get to sing live and have the emotion
I
than
don't
it
know
is
with
to
the
go
ear,
and
with
faking
the
it
earwick
after.
in your ear. It's kind of
For me, it would be much easier. I don't want to take away that she was amazing. I loved her, but as far as working on a film for months and months and months, coming up with the complexity, doing all these scenes with other actors, having she had to do one song by herself. By the way, she's singing it alone on a soundstage by herself. She's not interacting, and she was beautiful. She was wonderful,
Yeah.
but it doesn't compare to having to go back and forth, back and forth,
Yeah.
back and forth with your other actors
When
for
we
months.
when we talked about this initially, when we had that was the case. I was making the case that
She's alone in that scene, when she sings.
yeah, I was making the case that I can
So
understand.
who is she supporting? That's what I wanted. My
Well,
point
she
was,
has-
who
yeah.
is she supporting? That's my point. Because the role of a supporting actor is to lift up your other actors, to flush it out. Who is she supporting when
Okay.
she's singing alone?
Well,
I dreamed a dream.
the tone of that song, the note that she hits, is meant to sustain you through the whole movie.
True, but who?
And it's reprieved.
But
right?
I mean, compared to what the other people are doing, I just think it's an
Just on its
unfair
own-
comparison. Like she's not supporting anyone. She's supporting. She's supporting the musical, and it's a wonderful performance. But she's not supporting anyone.
Right. I mean, I made the case. Well, when they have that one scene. They have that scene.
one scene.
They
They
have
have that
one.
scene.
They have one scene together
Yeah.
where he doesn't even acknowledge her,
But
and
she-
he leaves the factory.
But
he
she does
doesn't even
set
know
up.
who she is.
I mean, again, I guess it's the character more than anything else that she sets up the whole reason why.
I think it's just my opinion. I
Yeah.
think that's not the role of a best supporting actor to be awarded for. I think it's a wonderful role, but it's not. She's not. It's not a best supporting actress as far as what Helen Hunt is doing, as what Sally Field is
Sally
doing.
Field to me had the best.
That's just my
and
opinion.
Like
Yeah.
it's so cool hearing how hard she fought for that role.
Yeah,
I
it
love
is
her.
really cool.
For who?
Sally Field
Sally
fought
Field.
because
the age difference, right?
Well, no, but there was
That was a big
exactly.
part of it, yeah.
Spielberg told her that it's just because originally it was supposed to be Liam Neeson in the role, and he was going to cast her, and then Daniel Day Lewis. Just the age difference didn't work, and
but
she
it
was gonna
worked.
get
The
rid-
age, the aging makeup is
She
like
was going
the
to
same.
he was going to get rid of her, and then she said, "You've known me all my life. So I will make this work." And he trusted her, and she crushed it.
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, that's
I'm
a
happy
really cool
for.
story,
I'm
yeah.
always happy for women that it's so hard to age in Hollywood. It's so hard, and I see that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm so happy for her.
Yeah. Okay, so again, Sally Field to me, I going off your point as far as being in the movie the whole time, supporting the back and forth relationship. To me, I think that she should win. I do think Anne Hathaway is going to end up winning because that performance that she had.
But it's
it
singing
was that
one song?
I listen. I get it.
I think it's really interesting though because every girl I've talked to
but
has the same response.
But I don't like when people take away from her and say she wasn't great. I think she
no.
was amazing.
That's what I'm
Powerful.
saying
But
though.
in comparison to having to do scenes with other actors, she sings the song alone.
Right.
She has the freedom by herself.
I wanna get
the
some-
camera's right here. She's singing alone
Yeah.
by herself. She's not acting with anyone.
I
She
want to
only
get some
acts with people
opinions.
in two
I want to
other
get some
scenes.
opinions from Schmoville on this. So call in 323-622-8623. Do you see Bonnie's point? How do you feel about supporting actress?
That said, I think she was amazing.
All right. Hey, you are in Schmoville. Who do we got?
Hey, it's George, guys.
Georgie, what's up, my friend? So what do you how do you feel about this whole supporting actress conversation? What's your take on it, my friend?
This supporting actress conversation, I 100% see where Bonnie's coming from, and I actually agree with it to an extent. That being said, I still think Anne Hathaway's going to win.
Right.
I know. I'm sure she is because it gets way more press than anything else. And she's, she lost 25 pounds for it.
Right.
She cut her hair live, the camera,
Yeah.
and they showed her cut off her locks. I get it. She went for it, and she's amazing.
Your thing is the definition of what best supporting
From
actress
what I
should
think
be.
a supporting actress role should be.
I see the point.
I don't think that's,
Okay. All right, Georgie, thanks a lot, buddy. Always good to hear from you.
Yeah.
All right. One more call from Schmoville, and we'll talk about the best actor and actresses. Hey, you are in Schmoville. Who do we got?
Hey guys, it's Matt Brown.
Hey, Matt. What's up, man? What do you got?
Well, I'll get to that in a second. You need to give me about 2 seconds to geek out, though.
What do you got?
Sean.
Yeah, man. What's going on, Matt?
I'm like hyperventilating right now.
Do you have to do the Heimlich maneuver or something?
I'm sorry?
He said, does he need to do the Heimlich maneuver on you?
Oh, you may have to. Listen, I'm in film school right now, and I mean, your performance, the power of you in Lord of the Rings is one of the reasons that made me really gravitate towards filmmaking, and I need to thank you for that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, and you're welcome. And pretty soon you'll be making movies and hire me, please.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, if you want to come out to New York, I can put you in a short film.
Well,
there you go.
Well, Matt, also, I want to let you know that that Sean also and Bonnie and myself and Tiffany all loved your Breakfast Schmoes poster as well.
Oh my God!
we
By the
did.
way, one of my favorite movies of all time to this day, and I wish that I could have been her in that movie.
Fantastic movie.
So
I
good.
wish I could have been there.
All right, so what's your take on the best supporting actress, Matt?
I think I definitely see Bonnie's point, but I think it's best supporting actor, not most screen time from a supporting actor
Right, but
or actress rather. Mm-hmm. But I think the thing is just even though it is such a short performance, I think it's such a straight through with the movie. It sets up, and it also sets up what Hugh Jackman has to do, who I think should win the Oscar over Daniel Day-Lewis, by the way.
Wow.
If someone else win, like if Helen Hunt won, who I think was fantastic, I wouldn't be upset. But I think Anne Hathaway's performance for how short it was
so who do you think?
definitely worth it.
What was the braver performance? You think Helen Hunt, what she had to do, or what Anne Hathaway did?
I think as far as brave, Anne Hathaway seemed to bear her emotion more, and Helen Hunt bare the boobies, but I think
term.
if I were, everyone's talking about Sally Field because I think Lincoln got the more publicity, but I think really as far as how good the performances was, it's really between Anne Hathaway and Helen Hunt.
I think
and going
Anne
by
Les Mis has gotten
Bonnie's
all the
criteria, I
publicity.
really think Helen Hunt has a good shot.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you,
But
Matt.
Les Mis, she'll win because
Yeah.
Les Mis is getting all the press and they're getting all the publicity.
Well, Matt, thank you for all your
Right.
posters, and thanks for the point, dude.
Your
really,
posters were
They're
awesome.
so good.
They were
Yeah, no
awesome. I
problem.
loved Emilio that you put me on Emilio. That was pretty
Yeah, it
good.
was great.
I wanted to be
Bye,
Molly
Matt.
Ringwald, by the way.
Yeah. All right, Matt. Thanks, dude. Okay, so
Let me just say one last thing.
Yeah.
I think your understanding, your belief about what a supporting actress or supporting actor is meant to do, I think comes out of a tradition of performance that's spot on. I think for me, the idea that a performer is serving the movie, the overall movie, the shape of the whole movie is as important. So
I do agree with that, though. I do agree that as far as telling the story, again, I agree. I just feel, and again, I think she was amazing. And that's what I don't want people to think that I don't think I think she was.
But this is what's silly about
But-
this whole thing about is choosing. How do you
I
choose
just think-
between one lady bearing her soul this way and another lady
Right.
bearing her soul that way? But the parlor game of it is to develop a criteria, and you are.
That's
so.
just for me. I just feel that she was unbelievable. But as far as what these other ladies had to do, and I just always feel that that's the one thing that awards get wrong. They go for the glamorous role, the bigger role, who cut their hair, who did a Holocaust movie, who does a musical movie. They
Does
always
she know how to sing?
Yeah.
Beforehand, she was a,
Yeah.
a trained singer.
She's
really?
an amazing
Okay.
singer. But I do think that Hollywood gets caught up in the glamour of the role that's the juiciest and has the most press, as opposed to sometimes the basic, simple, hardest thing to do is sometimes not as glamorized as a however many hundreds of $1 million film with a leading lady on the cover of Vogue who gets a lot of attention. That's all.
All right. Well, that's. Again, a great point by Bonnie. I think the performance was powerful.
I think it was great. She was
Sally
amazing.
Field. Jackie Weaver is the only one on there. Again, as much as I thought she added to the movie, I just don't know if she should have been nominated for some of the other performances.
How was Amy Adams? By the way?
Amy Adams was good. It just, again, anybody who
she was
wasn't...
great. She was great. What she did not play Amy Adams.
No, she
did something totally
You're
different than what she's normally done outside of her wheelhouse.
Yes, you know what it was? It was just the fact that anybody who wasn't Joaquin Phoenix or Philip Seymour Hoffman kind of got pushed aside a little bit. She was great in the scenes that she was in, and you're absolutely right. She was unrecognizable. It wasn't Amy Adams, but it just, again, that movie to me was about those
she had a look in her eye that is the look in the eye that you see of people who are part of extreme cults and other there's just an otherworldly creepy death stare that people have, and she's such a an attractive looking, appealing, open faced person, and to see her do that look, I found myself kind of, at first I was waiting to see, okay, what's she going for? I think I was maybe a little cynical as I started to watch the movie, but by halfway into it, and she has a little turn there 2/3 of the way through, and I sort of thought, wow, that's haunting and great.
All right, so those are the best supporting categories, and I think we're going to have to probably get into the actor, actress, and best picture in the last half. So again, we're talking the Oscars. A lot of great conversations, taking calls and tweets from you guys. We are here with Sean Astin, Bonnie Somerville, Tiffany Smith, for Christian Harloff and the rest of the Schmoes crew. We'll be back in a sec.
What didn't you?
What's going on?
We're back to the Schmoes Know podcast. Christian Harloff has stormed off the set due to the intense argument over what constitutes best supporting actor performances. I'm Ken Epps, like the producer. Hey, friends, Valentine's Day is coming up. You know that, right? You're looking at your calendar. And here's the thing. The ladies in your life, her friends are going to ask her, so, hey, what'd you get for Valentine's Day? It's very important to impress women, but it's more important to impress her friends. So send her flowers from proflowers.com. 1 dozen romantic rainbow roses in a free glass vase for my friends, your listeners here in Schmoville, Christian, at ProFlowers for just $19.99. And for Schmoville listeners, you can double those roses for $9.99 more. You just need the code TOADHOP when you order. It's a listener favorite. Let her know she's special by getting your Valentine's order in now. Valentine's is next week. Do it now. Order today for Valentine's Day delivery. You can't beat the price or convenience, and satisfaction is guaranteed with proflowers.com. And it was recently awarded highest customer satisfaction with the online flowers retailers. That's a thing by J.D. Power and Associates. Visit jdpower.com for more info. They're bright, beautiful, well-bloomed, great-smelling flowers. You're gonna be a winner if you order this. It's only one way to get the two ways to get the amazing Valentine's Day deal. Call 1-800-PRO-FLOWERS and mention Toad Hop, or go to proflowers.com and click on the microphone in the top right corner and type in Toad Hop. That's proflowers.com. Click on the microphone and type in Toad Hop. Get your double the roses for $9.99 more. Be a winner on Valentine's Day with proflowers.com. Order today. There you go, Christian.
Kenny Knapsack with the news. Kenny,
Christian was going to say something like "make him sexy," and it was going to get real awkward again.
You should have played the Bret Hart theme music under that. All right, so we're back. Schmoes Know movie show with Bonnie Somerville, Tiffany Smith, myself, and Sean Astin, talking all about all the stuff that's going on as far as the best actor, best actress, best director, best picture. We are ready to go here with best actor and actress. We have about a half an hour left, so we're going to try to, unfortunately, got to blast through some of these, but let's do best actor. Bonnie, your old co-star, Bradley Cooper. Silver Lining. What's that?
Not bitter at all. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Daniel Day-Lewis from Lincoln. Hugh Jackman, Les Mis. Joaquin Phoenix, The Master. Denzel Washington from Flight.
Well, we know who Bonnie votes for.
Denzel, yeah?
No, I don't know if I would. I don't know if he should win Best Actor, but I thought his performance was flawless.
I agree.
Absolutely stunning.
I will not disagree with that.
But again, I haven't seen The Master, and I haven't seen Silver Linings yet, so I don't know.
Sean, how'd you feel about Denzel's performance in Flight?
It's the only one I haven't seen.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I did a movie with him, so I like Denzel. Go Denzel.
Which one did you do with him?
It was called Courage Under Fire.
Oh, right. Of course.
He's Denzel, man. He's just a stud.
He's just put his arms
pimp.
around me too. I love it. But I'm sorry that I haven't seen Flight yet. But I haven't seen it.
Okay. So we have Denzel for Flight. Joaquin, which we've talked about for pretty. I felt he was not Joaquin Phoenix in that movie at all.
He's not going to win though.
No, he won't, because again, he's very outspoken on what he said. But to me, again, like we had the whole conversation.
What
about,
he was out? What happened?
he was just very outspoken on the Academy and saying how he just doesn't care about these awards and that they're bullshit and that he doesn't. That was my point before, is why the studio would pick, Phil.
I hate when people say that. By the way, it's like
why? Yeah, exactly.
It's like the old thing used to be I don't watch TV.
Yeah.
Now the I don't tweet is like the old I don't watch TV. I don't know what it's always something.
Yeah,
but I just can't stand.
But that's why I was shocked why he was
TV
nominated over John Hawkes.
The Sean Penn arc of I don't want to be a glorified extra. To crying as he stands up to accept his award.
Yeah.
It's like. There is a cheese factor to the Academy Awards that is undeniable, but at its core, people really care about this stuff.
And to knock what people care about is so ungrateful to me. It's like again, 10 years ago, it was like nobody wanted to do television. Now every leading actor in the world would kill the ones that can't get work to do television.
Not in fairness, but if you, how many press junkets, how many photo shoots, how many radio tours, it's probably like most of the data and information that he's getting about this comes from people being kind of faux excited, or there's just probably a quality that comes at actors that you have to figure out. I mean, the studio picked me as one of 2 or 3 for Lord of the Rings, and they promoted the heck out of us, and you want to be humble, but you also want to play your part. It's its own part. I just don't. He doesn't want to play that part, you shouldn't disparage other people's passion, and you shouldn't, eschew what is the hard work of everybody else. But I still think I don't think that necessarily places you out of getting people's vote, because I think some of the people who vote agree that there are aspects of it that you could be elevating a person who speaks on behalf of a kind of core group in the Academy that would like people to take it more seriously. Yeah. And if he walks up on, of course, wouldn't it be terrible for him to win and then not be there?
Because when he got nominated, then he was like, "Oh, God, thanks a lot." Like
really?
Yeah. From it was really weird. Anthony Hopkins was also.
I just feel like it's interesting because it's. I mean, in any career path that you choose, if you love it and you enjoy it, you want. I feel like there's some want to be recognized, and like people to say that what you're doing is incredible,
There is, but there's also it becomes a life identity.
Yeah.
Which you can't see, and a lot of times actors like to disappear into what they're doing. Now you can never escape from this wonderfully bestowed honor. But boy, it's okay, that's who I am. I'm that guy now.
Right.
But there's like people like Daniel Day-Lewis who he doesn't play the game, but still everyone loves him.
But he doesn't shit on the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He used to.
Really?
I think he did.
Okay.
Way back in the day. Remember when he quit?
Yeah, I remember when he quit.
When he was a cobbler.
He was a cobbler.
He
was.
Yeah. Well,
it's a different story. Let me just say, because I know you want to move on to other things. Daniel Day-Lewis's performance as Lincoln is one of the most important pieces of acting ever done.
Okay, why is that?
Because he makes credible the big ideas that we ascribe to Lincoln.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most important stories to tell, so you can't mess that up.
No, I mean,
it's like
again,
this man is...
If there's someone when Liam Neeson drops out and you go, "Oh, I got Daniel Day-Lewis," you go, "I might have lucked out here." You know what I mean?
It's like happy accidents.
Yeah, I mean, Liam Neeson's great.
My mouth was literally, my jaw was physically open through the entire movie. My arms down by my side like an ape, just looking at what he was doing in awe. I mean,
that's the best part about acting for me, is when people like that can tell those important stories that need to be told like that.
He just had this calm peace about him too when he was up there. But I have a question for you.
You've wanted your whole life. You've heard about Lincoln your whole life. We memorized the speeches, and all this kind of stuff. And he's invoked at every turn by politicians on all sides. And you always just wish you could see
meet him. Or like hear him speak.
And you see him, and you sort of go, "That's
who he
the
was.
best." Of what I ever could have hoped for.
Have you been a fan of Daniel Day-Lewis pretty much throughout his career?
Of course.
So this is something off the subject of the Academy Awards. This is something that happened last week, and I'd like to get your quick take on it. Do you think that Daniel Day-Lewis would ever do a Star Wars movie? I'm curious.
Yes.
You do think he would? You think that if like J.J. Abrams approached him,
I think if it was an amazing role,
sure.
But doesn't it take him like so much prep?
Let me put it this way: we were in the makeup bus in New Zealand doing Lord of the Rings when he retired.
Right.
and Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan and Elijah were talking about how amazing it was that he would have the courage to do that. And I said, bull fucking shit. And they said, what? They go, you just don't understand. You can't understand why somebody would want to do that. I said, I can understand why somebody would want to push away from an environment that feels disingenuous and where it doesn't feel right. I can see you going to do that. But in a year or 2 or 5 or 10, when somebody comes to you and says, we have this, someone with that, it's
and
like
that was Gangs of New York, right?
Gangs of New York, Night for America. There's just zero chance, unless he died in a horrible accident.
Yeah.
Zero chance that he wasn't going to come back. And I think I offered, we made a bet over a Learjet or something like that with Elijah and them. And when he came back, they were so disappointed that they were wrong about him coming back. And then, of course, they, like everyone else, are blown away by his performances. I think that a case could be made to Daniel Day-Lewis about what this has done for the psychology of America. That if you were to hit the right, if he watched the Samuel Jackson stuff, he might not do it.
Yeah, no. I boycott all of that stuff.
But if you watch Alec Guinness, then maybe there's something.
He's right. You know, if you could tell a story that's really important.
It was just my point. I wish that he
well
would do
said,
it.
Well said.
But the only
I
thing,
think he could do it.
Yeah,
I don't think he will, but I think he could.
Could
stay alive. And you know what he could say?
Yeah.
He could say, "Stay alive, no matter what occurs, and I will find you."
It's just
he could say that to me over and over.
But
and
again,
over.
they want the movie to come out in 2015. He preps for movies that wouldn't come out to 2018.
Yeah,
so.
that's true.
All right, let's get into
become a Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. Become
He
actually
become a
he would
Jedi.
build his own lightsaber. He would know.
He would be so method. He would actually be a Jedi. He'd be like, "Don't talk to me."
Let's try to do this quick. Best actress. We've talked about Jessica Chastain in Zero Dark 30, Jennifer Lawrence in Silver Linings Playbook. Those are the two that are going head to head.
I can't wait to see this, Christian.
Yeah, Silver Linings? Yeah. Emmanuel Riva for Amour, Cuivazane, I screwed it up already, Wallace, Beast of Southern Wild, and Naomi Watts for The Impossible. Naomi Watts in The Impossible.
Yeah.
Woo!
I wanna see
My
that.
God, was she incredible in that movie. I do think that Chastain and Lawrence will be battling head to head, but I thought Naomi Watts just did some stuff in that movie. I mean, Sean, did you see that one, The Impossible?
That's the only one on the list I didn't see.
Okay.
I would even say I feel like it's between Chastain and Watts.
Chastain and Watts.
Yeah. I don't.
I don't. I think Jennifer
Lawrence's performance was great, but I mean,
you don't think that because
She's
of all
too
the
young.
Listen, all the other buzz that she's getting all over, doesn't that account
The
for
little
something?
girl gets the trophy.
You think
Yeah.
she was? What's that?
No.
You know how I feel.
Yeah, he's got a beef with the little girl.
This is what we talk about, where it's separating the actual person from the performance. And
I'm
it's
not
hard.
saying who I'm going to vote for because
No,
that would be breaking the
but
rules.
you
I
just
think in
she's
the
gonna win.
history of the Academy and given they're all hard categories.
Yeah.
Everybody's just doing phenomenal work. I want to get in my car and call my agent and beg for something great to do. You
Me
know?
too. I want to just beg everyone.
Do you feel it's this year more than others? Right?
It's a great year. It's a great year.
No,
Sometimes
there have been
when you
other
look-
great years, but
yeah,
this
of course.
year's-
But sometimes when not that people haven't deserved it in the past, but you kind of know, oh, they're definitely going to win.
Yeah.
I don't think there's that many. There's definitely going to wins. You know.
I think the little girl's going to get it because she'll be the youngest Oscar nom in history, and they love that stuff.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean,
They love that stuff.
I would have liked to seen Haley Steinfeld win for that year for True Grit. She didn't, for best.
She was
supporting.
great.
She was great. But anyways, okay.
Thank God Meryl Streep isn't nominated this year. That's all, because then nobody would win.
Well, we're thinking it's a 3-horse race, and in the Schmoes Know podcast between Chastain, Lawrence, and Wallace. We'll keep you updated. All right, best director. Let's talk about Michael Haneke, which I'm surprised, by the way, that he was nominated over like Christopher Nolan or Catherine Bigelow. Then you got the director Ben Zeitlin for Beast of the Southern Wild, Ang Lee, Life of Pi, Steven Spielberg for Lincoln, David O. Russell, Silver Linings Playbook. Real quick before I know that we skipped over this. Did everyone here saw the sessions? No. All right.
No.
Okay. Well, that's because we can't get into the John Hawkes conversation then too, because I'd really like to. That's somebody who I believe got snubbed in that category. So but going back to best director in the snub category, I think Nolan got snubbed. I think he should have been honored for at least the way that they did it they honored Denzel Washington when he was when he got screwed for the Hurricane and for Malcolm X. They honored him with Training Day.
Well,
yeah.
He didn't get screwed. The Hurricane. He gets Malcolm X. He should have won. The
That's what I'm
Hurricane,
saying.
I think, was a little bit.
Either one, he was both great.
He was
both.
rewarded for Training Day.
That's what I'm saying.
Same way they rewarded Russell Crowe for The Gladiator when he should have won
Right,
for
for-
The Insider.
Okay, I think that that's what they should have done for Nolan. He should have been nominated for The Dark Knight regardless, but he didn't. And then you have. So I don't know, Sean. You've seen Amour. Can you tell us? Do you think as far as the directing goes? Do you understand why he was nominated for Best Director over some of these other directors like Catherine Bigelow?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to I don't know if the demographics of the Academy are available to look at, but I think what these choices represent is what spoke to the people who voted for them. So the Dark Knight and or I don't know. I mean, I feel like Amour, there's such a sensitivity, such a delicate, confident, quiet, powerful thing that he does. It's almost like the movie. It feels like it directs itself. It's an effortless thing that he does. So I certainly understand it, but I think you make a good point about the others as well. So and in terms of the other four, this is the hardest one. This is the hardest category as far as I'm concerned because they're all they're brilliant. And Lincoln, you got to figure Steven with his legacy at this point in his career and his life and what he's
another guy got
contributed to
screwed
film.
too. He got screwed. I mean, I'm still bitter that he got screwed for Saving Private Ryan. I mean, that was like over 12, 13 years ago, whatever it was.
He's got a trophy full of a case full of gold there, so
I
we
know.
don't want to feel too bad for him. But
Right.
I think and this is I voted for The Insider for Best Picture that year, and I made a big case to my dad about voting for it because at a certain point, I feel like the Academy is saying something to America, to the world. And you sort of go, what do we want to elevate? What do we want to, I guess it probably leads in your Best Picture conversation, but each, I don't know what you can't, I don't know. Directing is impossible. They're all fantastic movies. I guess you just vote for what spoke to you the most, and I don't know in the Academy who that'll be.
And I think, I could see it easily. I could, Steven Spielberg, you could see because Lincoln was such a powerful movie to a lot of people, as Sean was saying before. But I also think I would not be surprised if Ang Lee got it because in regards to directing, I thought directing-wise, regardless of what I thought of the story through and through, I thought it was visually just one of the most stimulating movies I've ever seen.
That and the actor who plays the lead, this is his first job.
Yeah,
he came in with his brother and
that's
was
an
like,
Ang Lee,
I'll go
and
in.
that's an-
And apparently he read for it and was bad, and Ang was like, hold on, I'm going to work with you.
Yeah.
And then got the scene out of him, was like, I'm hiring him.
Those two movies,
Incredible.
Lincoln and Life of Pi, both have heavy use of digital effects. The Life of Pi is a kind of decidedly brilliant, palette that's being drawn with the digital stuff with the fish and all that. Lincoln has a ton of it too, and some of it is kind of noticeable. Some of it's kind of noticeable. So I don't know if what that has to say about the technology, but I feel like with directing, it comes down to. You can look at composition. You can look at sort of capturing the guts of a performance. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you, Sean. I think that it could go.
I want to know when there's going to be a
way.
Best Comedy Oscar.
I know, it's
Goddammit!
true. I
That's
tweeted
my
that.
biggest
There's
problem
that.
every year
There's
of my
one on
life.
The Euroviewers. The Euroviewers Awards has a
It's
best comedy. That's all I
unbelievable
mean.
that
No, but the
comedies
Academy
are
Awards
still
should have a
best comedy.
distinct.
Just best comedy,
Yeah.
not
Best
best
comedy.
comedy musical, best comedy. It's absolutely
Yeah.
a travesty that at this point they do not reward comedians. I can't believe it.
All right, so we have a little bit of time left, so we're going to get into Best Picture, and then I want to get to fan mail after Best Picture because we have a couple questions for Bonnie, a couple questions for Sean, and then we'll announce our contest winner, and then we will get the hell out of Schmoville. But let's talk about Best Picture. We got Amour, Argo, Beasts of the Southern Wild, Django Unchained, Les Mis, Life of Pi, Lincoln, Silver Linings Playbook, Zero Dark 30. Now, what I want to start with is, Sean, before, in the beginning of the podcast, you had mentioned that out of all those, you had the biggest problem with Django. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I want to say two things. One thing. I was lucky enough to sit on a panel, a jury of 11 or 12 of us, for the American Film Institute, the year that Inglourious Bastards came out. And the purpose of the panel was to decide the American Film Institute's top 10 movies of the year. And the way it worked was we all brought in our top 10, our personal top 10, and then they kind of put it in the hopper, and a bunch of them kind of fell by the wayside, and then we all talked and revoted and talked and revoted until it was winnowed down to the two. Our the guy who was the chairman of our jury, or the foreman or whatever, was Norman Jewison, who's had a real impact on culture and sensitivity and race issues, and he was so infuriated by I hope I'm not telling tales out of school here, but it's been a couple years now. So he was so infuriated by the idea that we would elevate Inglourious Bastards, because his whole thing has been about gratuitous violence. And I, along with several other people, gave this impassioned defense for Quentin Tarantino and for that movie, and talking about how it was sort of a graphic novel. It wasn't meant to be historical, and that the gratuitous violence was the point. And the more and more and more kind of it started to lose. People are desensitized. That movie almost resensitized you, because you sort of went past the absurdity of violence in that movie. And the cinematic quality of it, I thought, was amazing. And we also have me personally, I'm a big fan of the Second World War historical study. I got my degree in history and literature, and I just love studying about the Second World War.
And it was fun to watch Hitler get shot.
That's it. It completed an idea.
Yeah.
No matter what documentary you watch, no matter who survived, no matter who beat whatever in whatever battle, you never get the guy robbed everybody of that feeling of vengeance and satisfaction because he killed himself, maybe, supposedly, according to history. But so he gave us that. In Django Unchained, I was watching it, and I think I turned into Norman Jewison, because as I was watching it, I was getting more and more upset, more and more worked up, and then a fuse popped inside my head, and I thought, okay, I see what he's doing. He's sucking me in so that he can then deliver the kind of vindication. But I don't like being manipulated. If you're going to manipulate me, do it right.
You don't think that he did it the same way that he did with Inglourious Basterds?
I think it's too soon in American life to get it wrong with slavery. Slavery, I said this morning on my show, is the flawed DNA in our life, our American life. It is such an unbelievable, unresolved, unaddressed, point. It's a cancer, and we haven't done what we need to do. There's precious few works that treat it. Roots. Anyway, Amistad is something Spielberg tried at.
But don't you think part of the? I mean, and I agree with what you're saying, but don't you think part of the problem is that no one actually depicts how it was, how they actually spoke, how these people were spoken to? That's part of the shock. The shock value can be a good thing.
But it wasn't shock value to bring legitimacy to historical understanding. It was shock value to service a cinematic a device, which is to let the anti-hero, the villain, the hero, to let Jamie Foxx come back into that chateau and blow the shit out of the white slave owners in a way that is a celebration of 70s cinema, 50s cinema.
It's blaxploitation.
Yes, But he did too good a job making me believe I was back in the. But
isn't that the point?
Well.
I mean, when you watch Schindler's List, when you watch all these other movies, don't you want to be there? Don't you want to be at the Holocaust?
No, because
it was
like he was jacking off. It wasn't. It was like he was. There's a coyness to the way he did it. An idea that says, like a little kid who just stole something from a drugstore, that says, I know I can get away with this because I'm trading on people's sense of righteousness. And it made me, you know what it did? It just turned me off. And I know, obviously, it's nominated for Best Picture. Yeah. People love it to death.
It's amazing, though. This movie has such hot top. I mean, I've been listening to talk radio, and what people's opinions, what he has brought out is truly what art should do.
And he said it too.
Art should bring this.
And he knew it.
about
he
it.
knew
Yeah.
going into it was going to have a reaction like
but I've
Sean.
heard
or
black,
react,
white
like,
people all commenting on. Some are
Yeah.
against it and some are for it. Like that's how
I
they
understand
spoke.
your points. I completely
If
understand.
I was
your points.
African American, I would be really split.
Yeah,
It'd be a
that's what I'm
forkball for
hearing
me.
on a lot of radio stuff. A lot of
And-
split.
Tiffany,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm-
it's interesting because both of these films were big for like Lincoln and this one because I'm mixed. My dad's black and my mom's white. So the movie didn't affect me that way. Like I went in because I know how Quentin Tarantino is, that you kind of let a little bit of that go, knowing that it's going to be offensive to some degree.
And going back to your graphic novel conversation too.
Yeah, and I'm a huge comic book fan, so for me going in,
I know, but
knew
mixing
that's
the
what it was gonna be.
blaxploitation film with the slavery thing just hit a chord for me. I mean, I could just picture. I said this morning as well, but he's got the next 30 years of his career all lined up. You just pick like what the Spanish Inquisition. You're going to pick the Chinese Revolution. You absolutely destroy the audience for an hour and a half with how god awful the behavior was, and then you spend the next half hour letting them just letting your guy who's been put upon come back. It's just a narrative it felt lazy to me, and I just
all right. Well, I mean, so
well done for that. I mean, that thing. If you assigned somebody a thing in a class where you said, "Hey, I want you to do slavery with blaxploitation films and do it," I mean, I think I was so thrilled.
It wasn't your thing.
It pissed me off.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sean
pissed me off.
So we think Sean
and
best picture.
interesting, too, 'cause
Sean's
if
vote is
you-
going to Django
Have
Unchained.
you seen any of the interviews with Jamie Foxx and what's the lead?
Yeah.
No, Jamie Foxx was amazing. They were amazing. The
Both
performances
of them
were amazing.
have said like how impactful it was for them doing those roles, and so I'm like, for someone who still experiences it and has those things going on, being in that film. I mean, I think
I
it
get all
makes it
that.
okay for
I get
me.
all that.
More okay.
And that's good. I mean, if it facilitates that for people.
If people are talking about that stuff again,
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
All right, so I totally agree with everyone saying. Let's just try to get a couple more best pictures before we got to move on to a couple things. We've about 9 minutes left. Les Mis, we know Bonnie. Overall, we know how you feel about Anne Hathaway. How'd you feel about the movie as a
I
whole?
thought the movie was amazing. I
Okay.
thought it was really well done, stunning, beautiful.
Right.
Loved it, but I wouldn't pick it.
Okay, we think Lincoln has a pretty good. We got to say Lincoln is the top dog. In the
Personally,
running here.
my favorite, and I know everyone's gonna, even though I love, is Argo.
It's great.
On a simple level, it's just storytelling
loved
without
Argo.
without all bells and whistles. No, all this fancy money. Blah blah blah. I absolutely thought, as far as a film, it was stunning, seamless, beautifully told, simple.
And that's why it's been winning everything.
You know
It's
how I
been
think
winning
about
everything.
these decisions? I picture they sent out posters. They sent out posters that have the one sheets for all the Best Picture winners.
Yeah.
And you kind of, and there's brilliant movies that should be on there, but for some reason in their category they didn't win it one year. What do you want to see on that list? What do you want, 2013?
I just think it's a classic film, too. It reminded me of a classic movie back before there was all of this digital era, special effects, blah, 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 big movie stars. Argo, not a lot of big movie stars in it. So it reminded me of a movie that we would see as a kid that was just so simple, so beautifully told, like a movie like,
the Academy historically
Kramer
loves
versus Kramer, or just some of those films that they used to make when when it was a story about people and it wasn't about.
Well, there's a
How
little
much
bit
money
of
do we
when a movie puts itself in cinema history, the way that movie does it, it really pulls on that thread of what was movie making at that point.
Movie making.
Yeah, the Academy loves that stuff.
And
Academy
at the
loves
time,
that.
and just the way it was told,
Like with Django.
beginning
It'd
to
be
end.
nice. It'd be nice to see it when again we.
But it's not glamorous enough compared to all these other
No,
films.
we got
timing-wise.
skipped over. We skipped over him also for the director. We mentioned it briefly in the beginning of the show, but the guy's been winning everything.
When did he turn into like such an important director
He's
too?
an
That's what I thought
Hello,
watching
Ben.
it. It's like good
It's
for
like
him. He's
Ben.
arrived, man.
Does anyone even remember Jiggly or care? I mean, like let's he's
No,
like
just
seven.
when he and Matt Damon got up to accept their writer Oscars for.
I was like, who are? Yeah.
Well, Matt was this guy of substance, and Ben was this guy who was next to him. It felt like on some level, at least that was publicly the kind of
Just goes
image
to
that was
show
conveyed.
There's never you can always reinvent yourself.
He's
You can
really
always
impressive.
do it.
You don't know. So, Sean, can you can you say who you think has the best shot to win in your opinion?
Lincoln's got the best shot.
You think Lincoln's got the best shot? Okay, that seems to be the top dog. All right, guys. So that's our Academy talk. We're very excited for that coming up. And just to let everybody know, on the actual Oscars, we're doing about a 5-hour live show from Toad Hop. We're going to be watching the Oscars. We're going to be having guests come in and call in. It's going to be a really fun show. So make sure if you're not doing anything for the Oscars, you can watch it with Schmoes on Toad Hop. And also, if you haven't watched Sean's show, you should. It's on Thursdays, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., and that's Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you check that out, too. And as you can tell, the guy knows knows what he's talking about. He's fascinating to listen to. I really recommend listening to that show. Bonnie, make sure you listen to Bonnie's show. Watch Bonnie's show. Watch Bonnie's show.
Watch and listen.
Bonnie's
Use
your
eyes and your ears.
If you're blind, listen to her show. Watch her show, Golden Boy, on
Premiering February 26th at 10 on CBS.
Right after our birthdays.
Yes.
Yeah. And my birthday's the Oscars, so you can also, just celebrate that. So.
Perfect. And then, of course, we're going to do some fan mail now. This is something that we just started doing recently. We have, it's schmoesnopodcast@gmail.com. Kenny picks out some questions that we have.
Do they have mail anymore?
Yeah, we do. We just have people kind of send them in, and we have the interns go and wrangle them up on Hollywood Boulevard. What's the first one here? Okay. All right. This is from Miss Movies. To Bonnie and Sean, if you could have played any role during the 2012 movie year, what role would you have played?
Yeah, let's go. Let me look at the list.
Yeah.
Would have been the Bengal tiger in Life of Pi.
Bonnie would have played Anne Hathaway's role in Les Mis.
Definitely. No. I guess I would have. I mean, I haven't seen Zero Dark 30 yet, but it seems like a role that I would dream to play and love to sink my teeth into something like that.
Yeah. Okay, Zero Dark 30. That's. I mean, that's.
I mean, I'd like to play Jamie Foxx. I'd like to play Jamie Foxx in Django Unchained. Would that be weird, Sean?
Well, I'm starting to like it now that we've been talking about it.
Sean, would you have been offended if I played Jamie Foxx? If I played Django, would you have been
Jamie
upset?
Foxx was perfect. I think you would have brought something
white.
You would have been just white for that.
You know what?
part.
I could have lightened it up a little bit. No pun intended.
So, Sean, how about you? Which role do you think?
Tilt. I don't know. Of the ones we were looking, I just scanned them.
You want to play the girl in Beast of the Southern Wild, the little girl.
It doesn't have to be Oscar. It doesn't have to be an Oscar.
Any film
Anything
you saw
that you
this
saw
year.
in 2012 that you said that would have been a role I really would have liked.
I don't know. My head just exploded when you asked that.
Oh my God! Wow.
All right, so this is from. What do we got?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, you read it out because that's a long.
It's a long one. This actually comes from the Czech Republic. Martin Dobias over in Czech Republic. He's asking about sci-fi fantasy films, and you kind of being the flag bearer for this, Sean. After Return of the King's win, is it impossible for a sci-fi fantasy film to win the Best Picture award without it being part of a greater whole? Could that happen someday?
Yeah, of course it could. It could have any given year. I mean, I think of like Dune.
Yeah.
Or
What about what's
Which one?
Sorry, I'm thinking of the Harrison Ford, the Sean Young one.
Blade Runner. Yeah,
that was
Blade
that
Runner,
was alone.
Dune.
You
And
got
that
Blade Runner one.
Exactly. When you're talking David Lynch and you're talking Ridley Scott.
I know. You guys are all shocked that I just whipped that out.
No, it's good.
It's great points because, and you both brought up two fantastic directors, and I agree with you. If you get somebody who has the right, again, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. If you get the right director and writer on a Star Wars film, I think it's possible. I'm just saying it's possible. It's possible.
Well, that's not
possible.
That's
sci-fi.
That's fantasy, isn't it?
Sci-fi.
Same category.
Space, sci-fi, and spaceships. All right, so guys, again, Sean, cannot thank you enough for
My
coming
privilege,
back.
man.
It
I
was
love
really
that.
nice. Enjoy your shirt. I'm sorry it was Django Unchained. It was the.
No, I love it. I'll tell you.
No, but now it's ironic.
I know.
Don't
I'm going to
you
be
think?
on the red carpet wearing this, like, I love you, Quentin. I love you.
I love that.
Actually, the fact that he didn't that actually makes it better.
I know, and I know. Well, you'll always remember it. And guys, make sure you follow Sean at Sean Astin, at Bond Somerville, 1M.
1M.
Tiffany Smith at Tiffany's Tweets, at Schmoes No.
Thank you guys for having me. I love being on the
Johnny
show.
Ice, it's weird being a guest on the show instead of the host with you, man.
know.
Thank you very much for
Thank
having
you
me.
so much.
Thank you guys, and we will catch you next week. It's the Valentine's Day show. We don't know who's going to be here yet of us. I'm certainly not. My wife will kill me. All right, we'll see you guys soon.